Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It's really brilliant to see how many people have joined right now and this Zoom event that we have Cas here with us. It's almost, I see the number around 400, 450, and also around 200 people are watching live on YouTube. And yeah, we're super excited to have you guys in here. And this is very exciting to see you guys again in one of our PA's accounts. I see people from India, Iran, US, UK, Europe, all over the world in the chat I was following. And thank you so much for joining. We'll have a small chat with Cas today. Cas is joining from MVRDV, and we're going to explore different methodologies and also different working workflows that he applies in his projects in MVRDV and different techniques that they're using AI and they're implementing in their projects. So thank you so much again. I welcome Cas in here. Hi, Cas.
Hi, Hamid. Nice to see you. And I'm surprised to see so many people that want to come listen to what I'm saying from all over the world. So hello
Thank
to
you.
everybody as well. This is crazy and very cool.
Thank you so much for joining. Actually, this number is almost like 25% of the people who have joined. Almost more than 2,000 people have signed up for this event. And we have the capacity only for 500 people in this Zoom meeting, Zoom webinar, let's say. And the rest of the people should have to watch it on YouTube. It's live right now, and people are watching right now on YouTube. So if any way you couldn't get into the Zoom webinar, please have the link. Our team will send the link in the Zoom chat. And also the main thing that we're gonna mention about here is the Discord channel that right now we have, and around 700 people in PA's Discord online will be following this event as well. So if any communication is needed or required, it would be awesome if you can just start chatting and asking your questions right in the Discord channel. It would be awesome. So because we want to keep all these communications recorded and available to watch even afterwards as well. Even if you can use YouTube or the Discord channel, the chat section of today's event. So thank you so much, everyone. I'll just have a small chat with Cas, then we will have a short introduction about PA's event and future workshops. Then we will deliver the stage to Cas to start. So thanks everyone for joining. Welcome, Cas. So in short and in summary, what are we expecting to learn from you today in this event?
In very short, I'm going to prepare 6 really useful pragmatic workflows, and we're going to run through them. I'll show them off once, and then I'll ask you guys, everybody in the chat and the Discord, to join us and try it themselves. Give them 10, 15 minutes, and then reflect on it together at the end.
Well, that's great. That's great. So what type of tools are we focused on today? Like Midjourney and
yeah, so Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, and a bit of Photoshop and Rhino to support that.
That's great. And how long have you been in MVRDV, and what are some of the key projects that you were focused on recently?
I've worked now at MVRDV for 5.5 years almost, and for about 3.5 years I've been project leading there. And I think my most famous one you guys have also posted on your site, is the Shenzhen Terraces project, which is spectacular. And have had the luxury of working on the projects like the Valley and Tripolis, and yeah, just some really spectacular projects.
That's great. And one last question that I have: how have you been embracing the AI tool in the office? And maybe you can just briefly, in a couple of sentences, tell us what kind of revolutions have it made into your workflows and design processes, and also thinking outside of the box where human couldn't figure it out, but you're testing stuff with AI and you can have better results probably. Maybe you can discuss a little bit about that.
Yeah, so AI has been like a little bit on everybody's radar, I think already for a year. And I remember about a year back, me and a group of first Midjourney adopters back in Midjourney version 3, we all sat together at the lunch table and we're like, what's going on with this? We need to try it. We need to try it. So we'd even planned to make a fake project and try to present it to the rest of the office to see if anybody would notice. We had all these really fun, yeah, I don't know, everybody's grabbing it, trying to implement it in different ways. But I think that's also the issue with AI currently. It's a really powerful tool, but nobody's really sure what the job is yet for that tool. So the whole office is figuring it out at the same time. It feels like it's like a big global, well, maybe not just office. It's actually more like a global effort to figure out what can we do with these powerful tools. So yeah, there's about
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the AI made a huge step into architecture and idea generation and customization of different type of, the styles. And right now it's an unthinkable part of the puzzle right now in design processes, and it's being favored by everyone almost in the industry. And we've seen its impacts in the last 1.5 year, and step by step the projects that are designed by AI started popping out as well. So yeah, we're so excited about the future and what happens in the architecture industry. Well, thank you so much for this short conversation, Cas. I'll do a very short introduction about PA and upcoming workshops. What kind of events do we have? And then we'll give you the stage. So just sharing my screen. Great. So thanks everyone for joining. This is our workshops page in the website, and we do free events like this one and also member-only events, which is 2 days workshops in beginner and intermediate levels. And also we have ticket-based workshops as well. Make sure to check this website and the section of the website, the workshops page. We have a subscription, which is a digital membership subscription. If you become a member, you will have access to all the free membership workshops that we have done. It's like a €4 per month. It's like less than a Starbucks coffee. And you can sign for 3 months and also yearly based. They are all the same features, but different timings, different durations. So as you become a member, you will be able to watch all these workshops, or even join for the future member-only workshops. So make sure to check this page out. Other than that, we have advanced level workshops as well. One of them is Data Structure 2, and Federico Borello will lead this studio. We had done Data Structure 1 before, and this is a little bit advanced version and more comprehensive version of us covering the structural analysis and structural optimization in Rhino and Grasshopper, using also Caramba and Speckle, a couple of different plugins. So Federica was also before in Zaha Hadid Architects, and now they have co-founded Encode. They're working super deeply on the structure analysis. So if you're interested to check this out, we have another AI workshop called Combinational Creativity. It's going to be using generative AI. Arturo Tedeschi, probably most of you know about Arturo, will lead this studio. And he's the author of AAD, Algorithms Aided Design Workshop. And we have this workshop on 24th and 25th of February, almost a month from now. We're going to deeply explore in 2 sessions about the generative algorithms and now how are being used inside Midjourney and Stable Diffusion. You guys all know about Arturo probably. We have polyhedral topologies, and Alessandro Zamparelli will lead this studio. He's going to use Blender. And Alessandro is also the author of the Tissue plugin, for Blender. He's a spectacular and great designer, and he has deep understanding of parametric design, parametric modelings, and make sure to check this workshop out if you're interested. There's also spatial dynamics. This is a member-only workshop. If you're a member, you will be joining this workshop for free, and Setuat will showcases this space optimizations in Rhino and Grasshopper and how you can achieve it. The last workshop that I'm going to announce is body architecture. It's Filippo Nossetti's studio. We have done two body architectures before, which were long form workshops. And again, in here, we're going to use deeply AI and mostly Rhino Grasshopper workshops to create body customs or body parts for fashion design. So if you're interested, just check it out. I just realized that we have an army of Italian instructors in here, Filippo, Arturo, and also Alessandro. So yeah, just check these workshops out. Then we had parametric intelligence. It was last week with Tim Fu. If you're interested to watch this workshop, it was a 4 sessions parametric intelligence workshop looking deeply into AI. So to sum up, we have discounts right now going on for all the previous workshops that are selected previous workshops, not all of them. You can use this PAACADEMY 40 to get 40% discount. This is a limited time offer, and we never give 40% discount. So if you're interested, you can check that out. If you're a member, you will have the 55% discount for this all the selected courses. So it becomes more than half a discount. So we'll just drop the code and in the link in the chat, in the Zoom, and also on Discord, so you can have access to them. And this is the limited time offer. Probably it's going to end in 2 days. Make sure to check it out. Regarding the communication that we're going to have. Okay, so if you ever joined this the Discord that we have, this is our membership Discord. If you are a member, you will gain these badges, different logos with green, gold, and also purple. If you're a free member, you will be labeled as yellow. And for this event, we have this chat in here, AI-driven design practice. You can just come here and type, "Hi, everyone." This will be our main communication channel. This is our main communication channel. Please type here. So I see that many people are started just writing in here. And also there will be a questions channel. Please just use that channel to write your questions and nothing more. And if you are a member, you will be able to see our previous conversations and also follow the member-only workshops that we have in here. And we have also forums about Rhino Grasshopper and also Midjourney explorations that you can just watch them here and explore your stuff inside Midjourney. As I see everybody has started already using the Discord, it's very great. Please use this channel to communication between us and also yourself and also between team members. And Cas will have an eye in here, or us will be asking all the questions that are written in here. The questions channel will be only for questions. If you have ever any questions, please make sure that you write in the questions channel right in here. Okay? And then we will ask them from Cas. Other than that, if you ever couldn't join the Zoom, make sure that you are following from the YouTube link. This is our YouTube. It's now, yes, it's now, yeah, like this. You can follow us on YouTube. The chat section in here will be monitored as well. So feel free to communicate everywhere. But the most important thing is joining Discord. This video will be available forever on YouTube and also will be added into course section of our website. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Let me see if I can find my Zoom screen. Okay, stop screen sharing. Okay, thank you so much. And thanks, Cas, for joining us. We're super excited about this session. Let's go.
Perfect. Exciting. Thanks, Hamid, for the introduction. I'll start screen sharing.
Yes. So we're here all the time, and if you need anything, just let us know.
Yep.
And right now I see your second screen.
Yeah, I'm swapping it over.
Awesome.
That's good,
great.
right?
Yes, perfect, great.
Okay, well, first of all, thanks to PA for inviting me. And thanks everybody for joining this lecture. It's really an insane amount of people. See 468, 467. Somebody just left. That was too boring. It's clear. Coming in, talk to me. It's not that you have anything. I'm sure you have better things to do on your Sunday, but I'm going to do my best to make this an extremely exciting and condensed talk in which I will take you through 6 of these design workflows that I figured out that AI can help us design. So that's also a little bit the setup. I'm going to talk about, quickly give you guys an introduction to me. Then we go through the design process, discuss those 6 points, and then dive into those. I do enjoy a lot of interaction, so please feel free to send those questions in the Discord, and I'm sure the PA team will let me know if they're interesting, and I'll try to react to them. Otherwise, I'll try to react after the discussion. Let me talk. So this is me. I'm Cas Esbach. I'm a project leader at MVRDV, and I've lived all over the world, actually, in Japan, Cyprus, Prague, Chicago, and New York, and I've worked in a few offices, small ones to really large ones like MVRDV and BIG. And in that time, I've had the luck of doing a lot of extremely exciting projects within some of those exciting offices. But what is a project leader exactly? A project leader is a person who is between all the other people. So I have my team on one side, the budget, the advisors, more advisors, constructural engineers, fire safety advisors. And on the other side, I have the clients, the partners, directors, all pushing on me, and I'm the guy in the middle trying to organize it all, which is a joke. I kind of consider myself the punching bag sometimes within these design processes. But of course, it's a joke because I'm extremely lucky to get to work on some of these most serious and most cool projects in the world. I'm going to take you through 3 of these and kind of talk you through the design process and thinking, so you guys can see why I turned to AI and why it has a possibility of enhancing our design process so much. So these are 3 of my most favorite projects, I think. This is the 4th quadrant in Prague. Actually, I used to live close to here, and then I would take the bus stop from this area. And then always I would stand with my back to this big green field, wondering what would be happening to it. And then 5 years later, a bit longer, 8 years later, I would come back here to be able to design something new for this area as part of a competition. Because it seems crazy that this area is empty. But as we started digging and doing our research, it was clear that another architect way before us, Antonin Engel, had designed something for this area, but it just had never been realized. So our vision was to reinterpret this original vision and use it to embrace a more modern architecture, which would be hidden behind the veil or the filigree of sorts that allows us to do something that not only respects the heritage, but opens it up to the future in its way of interpreting the heritage, if I can say it that way. So that means that you have this old building, which we recreate with the veil, and then the new building behind it, which sometimes it's closer, sometimes it's a little bit farther, allowing for vegetation and spaces where people get to meet each other, spaces where if you have a coffee bar here, you have this nice, secluded, comfortable space right in front of it. And it creates this undeniable beauty where the past and the future merge together. So it's I would call this like a historical research-driven approach to design. Another project which we did was in Romania, in Iași, the 2nd city of Romania. And in this plot where we had another competition with these beautiful historical buildings, super old, a lot of cultural heritage, which was really important to the people there, important churches, monasteries, all around there. And then we were asked to build something insane. They're huge. But how do we add something while also being respectful So we started by trying different things, and this is one of them. We tried to change the heights to align with the surroundings. Then we opened up the middle as a courtyard, and then took all of the important natural landscapes from the surroundings and projected those through the middle. And then we started to carve away slowly at this massing with lines of sight. In some way, you would delete the building where it kind of covers these old historical buildings, which we fell in love with so much as we learned to understand the location better, which results in a building which is there and it's large, but in actuality, it fits really well within this array of monuments. And the peak language kind of mimics the old spires and towers of the town. And the lines of sight are there. You can still see and still connect to the past. So you're adding something without adding something. Very beautiful image here by our render, a company which we often use, AAND3, by Chava. I think he's also in the chat here, but it's very nice to see these, this type of approach. So we're approaching by removing. You start with the envelope and then you remove as much as you can that is important to the surroundings. And here, a fully different approach, once again, the Shenzhen Terraces project, which I mentioned earlier. We were asked to design the new city center for part of Shenzhen, because Shenzhen isn't a city like we know them in Europe. It's a city built up of multiple cities with millions of people. This is for the Longgang city district. We were asked to create a new living room. And then we start placing buildings in a way that they wouldn't affect the pedestrian flows. And then we rounded them off in a way that people would easily come in and come out and be drawn in and through the area, allowing for a really comfortable and friendly pedestrian experience. This then we merge with the idea that in Shenzhen it's either really hot or really rainy. So we offset all of these floor slabs 4 meters out and pulled them in and out and plated them, pushed them down to create this seamless pedestrian experience, which is kind of unmatched in that area, where people would much rather sit inside. Now we're creating a space where people can actually be comfortable outside most of the year. So it's with this design language, which we created, the slab language, we then pulled and connected different floors, creating separate connections through, up, and in between, all merging the architecture with the nature. And what's also really fun is when you start to continue this design language into the larger buildings on the site, you see that these certain areas, like here's a conference center and here was the hotel lobby, but then you could actually walk from your hotel lobby to the conference center. You could go up and then in the backside through up to the museum and then up to the roof terrace without having to ever take an elevator. It just invites people to explore the building in a different way, in a way that isn't common, wasn't possible without this design language. So, and of course, it's extremely beautiful, undeniable, I think. But the fun thing in showing these 3 projects is that they each require almost bespoke approach to the design and also to the design process, because it's not like we're repeating the same 6 steps, but the result is slightly different because it's in a different place. It's actually, we're creating new step stories and new approaches each time. And that's something that I've fallen in love with, and that I think is where real powerful design can be found, is in these bespoke approaches. And that's why I'm also constantly on the lookout for these next ways to approach the design, so that when we started to notice that AI was getting more and more prevalent, and the things that were being made with AI were super exciting. I just wanted to just dive in head first. I grabbed everything I could, watched all these YouTube videos, and tried to understand it as much as possible. And it's also that's why I'm excited by AI, and that's why. So that's kind of the link I'm trying to put here. I hope it's clear. But anyway, so I also want to disclaimer that I'm also not really an expert in this field. I just love it. I love to use it. I love to apply it within our design process, and I push to apply it. So the perspective that you'll get from me today is not maybe a absolute truth, like this is the best way to do it. It's just a very pragmatic way that you can possibly implement these AI tools in your design process. I hope tomorrow, actually, already. So that's just so you understand my approach a little bit, because when we look around ourselves and we're Googling what AI is or what the role of AI is, you find a huge variation of opinions, where a large amount of them are actually really negative, surprisingly. And some seem to be a bit confused about what it even is or that they're talking about. But these are the things that people are putting out, like I would consider it almost fear mongering or really pushing a bad narrative to be scared of something that's new. And I think that's really unhealthy when we're trying to still figure out what this even is. What are we even talking about? But these people already know it sucks, like Elon Musk. But this, when I heard him on the Joe Rogan podcast, I was surprised how negative and fearful he was of these AI tools. But on the other hand, we have really powerful visualizations being shared everywhere on the internet, and PA is pushing a lot of stuff on AI and Design Boom, and these are just really beautiful and really smart, sophisticated workflows. Where this one was great. I thought this was insane that this guy Steve Carlos, I think he's also talks here sometimes. He just shifting some blocks around creates all these different buildings. Or when Tim Fu posts another GIF, which is just completely inspiring and amazing, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, that is cool. We need to figure out how he's doing that. I want to try that. Let's get into that. But then I try to find a way to make it make sense within my design process. When I am on a deadline, when I do have to deliver products, when I have to make the products that I'm delivering also be understandable to the client. And I find in many cases that the truth between this, super skeptical point or the super embracing point is slightly more in the middle. And I'm picking on these guys because I know that they're extremely successful and their work is very cool and inspiring. But it's also, and sometimes want to challenge them, and that's also with my talk here, kind of challenge the way we're looking at AI, not as a co-designer, but actually as a tool. So that's my truth, or the truth, or my truth is really in between, I think, this full embrace or the full fear. Because AI is a tool to enhance your design process. And the tool, though we're still figuring it out, is also in search for a good job. And it's not always really clear where AI really fits in. When would you make a little GIF of your building spiraling out of the control and trees blossoming out of it? When do you make that? Is it when everything is done and is this for PR purposes only, or so those questions are in my head as I continue this talk a little bit, and to do that we have to reflect on the design process. I saw this sketch online, which was really great because it really made me feel like that is the design process for me. It starts in this big jumble of mess of all these ideas that come through up back, and you're looping back, constantly making iterations, and finally, hopefully, you're peaking down to the future as you keep making steps. And then at the end, maybe there's one or two little loops. And then I thought to myself, okay, what is my design process currently look like? And it was actually way different, starting with multiple options. But it's just fun to reflect. And then, but let's keep it simple for now, for today, where when you start with the project start, and as the concept more or less develops, or the sketch design, and you go into sketch design, design development, and construction documentation, you're basically funneling down to just a few changes. So you're not changing the shape of the building in CD phase. But with that in mind, I started to figure out key moments, 6 key moments that we can really grab AI's power and use it. The first one being in the initial inspiration phase. AI and Midjourney specifically is such a powerful tool that it creates hyper-realistic images really quickly that are super convincing and can really clearly translate your concept sketch or your thoughts or your ideas to an image that you can show a client or even or internal or even a client. But be careful for showing that to a client sometimes, because sometimes they're better than the renders you make yourself later. But the second moment is this high-powered reference generator. You often find yourself looking for Google, spending hours in Google trying to find good references, but AI is way better at that for you. So let's grab it there. Then the third moment is play 2.0, I call it. This is the moment in which we're just outside of the first initial inspiration, and we're starting to build physical models. And even though with the digital world, physical models have started to die out after COVID. We have a lot of international clients who are working on Zoom a lot, and then having them look at this physical model on camera never really works. But now I think we can reintroduce and the love for model making, and so through the embracing of AI. The fourth moment is enhanced massing studies. It's clear that in certain phases of the design process, we are building blocks in Rhino or SketchUp, which just represent massing, which we as architects all really understand. But the moment you show it to the client, they're lost, they're worried, they don't see window openings, they don't know where the front door is, they don't know where they put their mail and where the trucks arrive. So you're just creating a lot of fear in them. So the abstraction that we can, the abstract level of products that we can reach in earlier phases can be bridged through the implementation of AI tools like Stable Diffusion that you'll see later on. Finally, I'm going to call it materialization for now, but in later phases in the design process, when most things have been set, let's say open to closed ratios or placement of certain doors and important things, when 95% of stuff is, or let's say 80% of stuff is more or less set, you're often asked to do these very tedious studies where you're changing this wood to slightly wider wood planks, this one to wider, and then let's try diagonal, let's try this. And so these tasks are take a lot of time, weeks sometimes. But I think by embracing an AI at this moment as well, we can really speed up the design process. Finally, communication and visualization communication. Our clients, but also, this is to our clients, but also to external parties. Visualization studios play an extremely large role in bringing our projects to life. However, I've never been in a project that we haven't, at the last day, the last 3 days, said, okay, this day render actually needs to be a night render. And then, we throw everything away, we restart. And so we restart, and then we, waste a lot of time and throw a lot of the stuff away. I think that's not great, and not great for all parties. So we can embrace AI also in this phase as a way to further, simplify the communication process. So these are the 6 points: initial inspiration, high-powered reference generator, play 2.0, enhanced massing studies, materialization, visual communication, which you're going to learn in, let's say, 3 or 4 hours. And I hope you can apply them tomorrow already at your job. Let's talk about the initial inspiration. Midjourney is an undeniable power tool for this moment in the design process. It's an extremely powerful dreaming tool that remixes from a really diverse set of images, but it's very curated and well curated by a lot of artists, and it's really powerful. And it takes a lot out of our hands. So it makes it very easy to make nice images like this. And especially now, so that this was, I think, 5.2, and then here in version 6.0, it is extremely easy to make images which are almost indiscernible from real life. So it becomes a few words and you have a Pritzker Prize winning design in a minute. But also here we need to reflect, as it's starting to get easier, we still need to imbue the images with our design intent. We can't just randomly choose words and then, use the nicest looking image as a way to choose one. We need to create images that are buildable, understandable. They need to be fresh, they need to be fun, and they need to be convincing, that when you do present them, that you convince somebody that you can make this a reality. So I'm not going to go super in depth into like this is how you open Midjourney right now, because I feel like most people have already played with it. But I want to talk to you about the key prompts, and I'll run you through how to do really good and really in-depth prompting. So the prompt that we're using is, you type first /imagine, and then you have to name a subject, towering structures. Then it's good to name and separate these in any way that you want. An environment, maybe in a forest or a landscape. Then discuss what lighting you would want it to create, and then color. And then we continue into mood, composition, and sort of a style or an aesthetic. And these are the 7 key elements that I think are needed to make a really powerful prompt. And this also gives you the control, because you can leave a lot to chance, but I think as a good designer, you need to be the one holding the steering wheel in the process. Midjourney cannot be leading you to a good design. You need to grab Midjourney and take it to the good design that you have had in mind or envisioned, or that's part of because Midjourney doesn't know what area you're designing for, who those people are, what they do. Do they like to eat dinner together as a family, or are they all separate? Do they all eat in front of the TV? These are strange things to mention, but it's really important to pull the cultural context into your designs, and Midjourney can't do that. So you need to grab Midjourney and take it with you there. I gave you guys all this prompt cheat sheet that I've been working on. I think it's on the server somewhere. PA has shared it with you. But as you're working through these prompts and using it more and more, I really recommend you create this cheat sheet for yourself and share it with people in your office. Make it a Google Doc and make it a combined effort. And don't fill it with just trash, but fill it with things that fit your design approach and fit your design style. In that way, you can really push your Midjourneying to the next level. The next tool I want to talk about is Blend. It's very simple. It just takes 2 images and makes it into one. And I think it's the important thing here is also, so combine this with that powerful prompting and let you change something which is an extremely boring housing building and combine it with this beautiful sculpture into a housing building which has these extremely beautiful light shaft, elevator shafts. Blend is a powerful tool there as well, and the results will be great if you grab onto it with that prompting. Another part of the Midjourney prompting, which I need to mention just for you to understand it, is this aspect ratio. So after your whole prompt, you do /imagine, beautiful house in blah, 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 in the forest, gloomy lighting, mood. Then you type your aspect ratio. And to understand is that how Midjourney works, I'm guessing it has somewhere a huge database of images. And by then, it starts to draw from those images. And each image has a specific aspect ratio that it's drawing from. So it's good to keep in mind that as you change the aspect ratio, it's also going to draw from different images. So let's say the aspect ratio is square, and you're asking it to build a skyscraper. It creates more of a stumpy little skyscraper. But as you bring the aspect ratio wider and wider, it's starting to have problems showing us the skyscraper, even though it still could do the stumpy one in the middle here. It decides not to, and creates more of a zoomed in image where you have this nice vista. So if that's what you want, that's nice. But in the other direction, if you want your skyscraper to be taller, it helps to enlarge the aspect ratio. So you can, part of the prompt crafting is also Yeah, sorry, I thought there were messages coming in, but part of the prompt crafting is also understanding the Midjourney tool. So to enhance your desired outcome, you have to find an aspect ratio which reflects the thing you want to create. So if you want to take a really tall tower, you have to do a really tall aspect ratio. It's so simple, but it sounds, but there's also a limit to this. Got to mention that for a second, that after some point, it starts to not understand that there's one image here and starts to create two images, one at the top and one at the bottom, and try to stitch them together. It's very interesting to see that happen. Let's say settings, it's important for you to always keep remix mode on. So as you're creating more variations, it allows you to change the prompt slightly. And for the rest, I would just keep it a little bit like this. That's just my recommendation, but feel free to play with it a bit. And now an example. So we're in real life. After a meeting, we've ended up with a sketch like this. It's some type of housing building where we're doing for free or a very small budget. And the idea is that rainwater is gathered within the housing building itself, and it acts as a buffer for the rainwater that's coming in. And then it gathers this water and then uses it to flush the toilets, but also uses it to cool the building. So by expelling the water over the facades, we can use it to cool the building. So that's the idea. And this is the sketch. This is all you have. And you have a meeting in 1 hour. So what do? You just grab your prompt sheet and this basic prompt setup, and you just dive right into Midjourney. You throw it in there. So here you see apartment building, 8 stories, overflowing water in a pond. So location, bright sunny day, mood, lighting, fresh human perspective, photograph, architectural. I did 2, 3, thinking I want the building is not so small, so I want something a little bit of space. But they all suck. So what do? Just flip the ratio. Let's see what we can get. And starting to find things which start to look interesting. And as we dive in further, trying to change little words here and there. I think here I added, I changed okay, I'm not sure what I changed here. But then as I developed that one, the one in the bottom left further, and I start changing things, ooh, this starts to get interesting. Convincing, but it's not fresh. It's not, doesn't look like a day. It looks like a sunset. So these are not images I would be comfortable showing a client just yet. But I'm starting to grab some of these, making them bigger, and then, okay, let me redo this one with a large variation, but put in a bit more modern buildings. I wanted something wood, but the result was horrible. So you kind of go back and forwards and just want to illustrate that it's never just type in the prompt once and it's done. You're constantly evolving it further and further, switching the aspect ratio again, then adding more vegetation, removing a bit, trying to, you start. So then I thought to myself, okay, this is awesome. This image is great. It does make sense that if the water comes over the edge, it automatically waters your plants. It does make sense to, so all of these things just look, this started to get really exciting to me. And I thought, okay, can we find a more distant view? So I tried to get it to be a drone image, but it didn't work. But then in that randomness, I did find this image, which was beautiful. And I thought, okay, what if I just Photoshop it a little bit and then put these two next to each other? You have something which is really convincing. So just wanted to illustrate this more in depth, Midjourney workflow, because it's good to understand that you don't find something in 1 second, and you never will. It's always about continuously generating, tweaking, adjusting the prompt, adjusting the aspect ratio, adjusting the style, or the all of these types of things. And then you want to end up with a result that's clean, fresh, and happy, and has a very clearly respects the initial ambition that you had. So if you remember that sketch, this is almost one-to-one that sketch, but it just looks super realistic and buildable. And this on the right just makes you understand the positive qualities of it. I think Midjourney is an essential tool when developing concepts and bringing them to real life. Like these things that we were talking about before, they can be fantastical and they can be crazy and out there and really pushing the boundaries, but they have to be real. And I think this feels real. And I think images can work really well if the concept that you're trying to push for, like here, this really highlighted plinth area, which then pulls you up the building, you think, okay, I see it, I get it. Even though that this image is way too moody and way too misty to be, shown anywhere. It's good to see that this thing, which your ambition needs to result in be grabbed by the image you're trying to create, because it does have its limits. We love Midjourney also because it pulls us down these weird, wacky routes where, I don't know, pieces of broccoli here are growing in between two panels of glass, and it's cool, but it's too far outside of the real world. And that's why images like this will never go anywhere. And images like this, for example, all end up on the cutting floor, whereas this one is the one we feel free to show and we want to push for in meetings. It's clear, fresh, buildable, realistic, and it clearly represents the concept that we had as our first ambition.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Can you lower the audio of your Discord, because there are so many messages and the background audio is just distracting sometimes.
Sure. I didn't even hear it. Let me see.
You need to right click on the volume meter. Yeah.
Okay, here we are again.
You can see my screen again? Switch your screen again, please.
Okay, no reply means yes.
I still see your notes. Yeah, from display setting on top left. Yes. Cool. Got it. Awesome. Great. Thank you.
In general, am I hearable and everything's okay?
Yeah, everything is awesome. Thank you.
I see some people complaining about the sound too low. Should I sit more closer to should I move my mic a little bit? Okay. I hope this works better now.
Yeah, it's very good. The sound is like, if you can get closer to the mic.
I'm just going to continue.
Yeah, let's go.
I think right now I would like to ask you guys to try it once as a little assignment. Because just for fun, we had a project, a pro bono project for the Sami people of Norway, who have received a grant to develop a new community hub. The budget is super tight. We don't have a lot of time. Because we forgot about the meeting, just an example situation, and we need to create a new cultural hub for them. So I ask you guys all to log into your Midjourney accounts and take a minute and use the prompt setup that I created for you guys, or this 7-point system, I think, to understand, to create something new and exciting, which could which is clear, fresh, buildable, all of those things that we were just mentioning. It's good to I'm going to do the pre-Google for you guys. The Sami people are the indigenous people of Norway. They used to live in all of these types of tents with reindeer hides over it. They're really well connected to nature. And they love this red, blue, yellow color scheme. So I think those are the key features you need to integrate into your design to have a successful design. So I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes, I think, would be enough. I would be really interested to see what you guys come up with in that time. Try to mute my Discord in the meantime. what's the name of the culture? It's the Sami people. I believe you can still see it on my screen. See, Sean disagrees about the unrealistic images being a limitation. I think I understand what you're saying. It is in a way something that can also push you further and drive your design process to do something more than you thought of before. But imagine people come to you, they're asking you to build a building, they're ready to invest a lot of money in some really exciting things. But you're coming back at them with this picture of some type of Zaha building, which is just not within the price range of many people. You know, the really basis of it. You're here to design something which also fits the brief given to you. So I do really think that that if if you create unrealistic images, you're not going to gather the trust and understanding from your clients as you continue with it. So it's something you just have to be aware of, and the limitation is also solved by being aware and understanding it. But yeah, indeed. So the discussion, it's on the Discord, as Sean just said. I'm coming from a research academic context versus a commercial practice. Indeed, I think that's the difference. I'm just trying to where you may be more busy pushing the boundaries. We're also trying to create realistic. So I think what I'll put on the screen is this. Let's just quickly. So when crafting your prompt now, really start with your subject. So it's this tent-shaped cultural center. Then talk about the forest. So it's in Norway, maybe talk about the environment, then it's maybe in Norway or something like that. Then you want to talk about the lighting. So bright, hard lighting. I can imagine the snow, something like that. You want this really fresh blue sky. So I think implementing those types of prompts will get you something that you can control way better. See, some people lost the prompt, the assignment. So let me resume here. I see just a few things coming up. So if I were to look at this image and just to reflect on it, I think it's extremely cool. But we're missing the relationship to the Sami culture. So there's nothing has to do with these colors, these bright, beautiful colors. it's beautiful, right? But we need to go further than that. This one seems to be quite exciting, actually, quite cool. Fits the brief also. Oh yeah, here. I was expecting, so something like this really pulls in my attention more because we're referencing these old huts that they used to live in. You're putting many of these peaks together in some way. So it's talking about these huts coming together. You're talking about the culture and creating spaces for a community to come together. So this, I feel like we can start to tell a story around an image like this. Yeah, I think this is a nice hut, but it's not exactly the the resulting, it doesn't really reflect the community center or something that we can add to them. So as an architect, I'd want to add to them, give them something of our knowledge as well. This is cool. Give it 2 more minutes. If you guys want to post it in here, we can reflect a little bit. Kind of want to know the prompt for this one. But what you do have here, despite the design maybe being something that doesn't directly feel like something I want to build or would want to propose, but it is warm, it is fresh, it is inviting and exciting. It's a little bit Las Vegas meets the Sami people, so I'm not sure that's the reference they want to go for, but it's a good one to see. And it really starts the discussion. See a few more coming in, and then I'm gonna keep going. Discord app.
Cas, can you hear me?
Wow. See, this is a cool image.
Cas, can you hear me?
It's not the most successful Midjourney image or
Cas, can you hear me?
AI-generated image, but it does the other things extremely well. And that's why it is clean, it's fresh, it's inviting, it's exciting. You grab a concept, you grab the concept of this tent. It's got something of this like nature reservation idea in there. So I think these are the most important, features of these images. So they don't have to be perfect, but they do work very well. Very cool. So I think people are starting to get the buildable, clean, fresh. This is cool. I like it a lot. I'm gonna continue with the lecture and I'll take a look at the things in a second. At the end again. I think it would be cool if we can find some of the most exciting ones and reflect on those also after the lecture. So here we go. So this is the thing I'd created myself. In the little time I gave myself, 15 minutes. Though it is successful in some things, it works well as an architectural reference to these huts. I did have to Photoshop in this quick pattern here, which was this reference to the old Sami textures, textiles that they do. And I added these people in, but there's a quality missing in it, which was in some of your images, that it's too dark, it's spooky, it's gloomy, and it doesn't, it's not an image you could ever show really to your client or to, in a professional sense. So as we continue, that was just a nice first little task. Let's continue. Then the second part is the high power reference generator. I found that in a design process, we're often trying to communicate our ambitions to the clients and to within the team about what we want to do and what type of spaces we want to create. And then often you find yourself Googling online office, cool office, hip office, nice child daycare with happy children, or cafe, which is very good for the communities, but it's really hard to find good references that hit exactly the thing you're trying to show, that are also from your own firm or so nondescript that you can reuse them, because we don't want to be using images from other firms' work. And that's where Midjourney shows a huge potential as a way to upgrade your programmatic or style references. Because as I started Googling, and this is where it kind of tweaked my mind, I actually was finding Midjourney images in Google, which then made me think, why not just use Midjourney without Google at all? So it gives us the access to these great references. So here, let's see, a super green office space that looks great and fun, but maybe we want it to be more cozy and smaller and more of a startup. Or maybe actually it's not plants that we want more flowers. And these tweaks, they happen in just minutes instead of restarting your whole Google search or this big database of projects that we all have in our heads. But it's the power of these references. And here, students in a cafe, or should they be elderly, or should they be in China, or should they be aliens? It's the freedom to create high quality reference images that Midjourney offers us is just unparalleled. And yeah, it's just something we should integrate in our design process, I believe. So that's our second one. Now we're on to Play 2.0. And before I kind of can go into Play, I will kind of give you guys this broad intro into Stable Diffusion. It's going to be super direct and super focused because of the time that we have. But I think you need to understand Stable Diffusion a bit better to be able to use it. Unlike Midjourney, which is so easy and accessible, Stable Diffusion, which is the other program, which I hope you guys have had the time to download and get set up, we need to talk about it a little more. Because what is Stable Diffusion? Stable Diffusion is a deep learning text-to-image or image-to-image model based in diffusion techniques. And what that means is that it has a huge database of images, and you can provide that database of images to it. And it starts at a faded noise image and slowly starts to develop a realistic image based on that initial noise image. And that noise is random or can be generated by you or whatever, but that's the base of that's the basis of it. So what are the powerful parts of Stable Diffusion? Is that it's completely adjustable. Unlike Midjourney, where it's all hidden behind some type of window, every part of Stable Diffusion is adjustable. Even the interface that we're using now, Automatic 1111, is also adjustable and completely open sourcely available, and people are changing it. Some people are using Comfy UI, for example, and you can tweak the inputs. You can tweak negative or positive inputs. You can tweak how much the Stable Diffusion listens to your inputs, and you can tweak what images it uses as a reference to create the new images. So you can give it 1 million pictures of cats and 0 of a dog, and then if you ask it to generate a dog, it just can't do it. It's very interesting to see, but Stable Diffusion gives you that freedom to tweak. But on the other side, the negative side, the downside, the sad person side, is that creates a huge barrier to entry. It's extremely complicated sometimes, and really hard to grasp what you can do with it and what's going wrong when you're not generating images which meet your standards. So it requires a lot of testing and a lot of time spent in it. So that's why I will also kind of run you through it and get you going, so you know which knobs you should be playing with and which knobs you should just set and let go, or which knobs you should just never touch. So let's start at the model. You open let's start right at the top. When you open your Stable Diffusion, and I'll go into it in a bit live, but now just in a slide setting at the top here. Here you have a model selected, which is the basis from which it draws all of its images. And the models are completely downloadable from online. So there's all these websites where, like Civ IT AI, where people post their models that they've been working on. Seems like they're only posting pictures of beautiful women, but luckily there's a buildings tab, which you should go to. And in there, you can find a few key models, and these are the ones that are also shared with you. Architectural real mix. It's a really great selection of bird's eye and eye level views of buildings in perspective, and the 2-point perspective, which is really important. And it gives a really good, clear architectural render style. Another model which works really well is epic realism. This one is just insanely powerful in creating really realistic images. So it helps with reflections and those types of things. And then there's another one, Dream Shaper, and all of these you guys have received in this file. It's another model which can add a bit more artistic flair to the images that you're generating. And these need to be downloaded and installed in your Stable Diff folder under models. And I hope you've done that already, but if not, don't worry about it. I'll run you through it and you'll figure it out after the session. And then let's just test them right next to each other. I put in this very simple prompt. I hope it's readable, but photograph of a cube, wooden building in the woods on a sunny day. Very simple, using the architectural real mix one. I locked in the seed, just so, yeah, then here this is the depth again of Stable Diffusion. But then just want to mention that I lock in the seed, and the seed means that the starting noise from which the image is generated is always the same. So if you lock the seed and hit generate once, and you don't change anything, and you hit generate again, you'll get exactly the same image. But the moment you unlock the seed, or what here, randomize it, each time you generate, the starting noise will be different, so the resulting image will also be different. So here we go. Let's change the model to the epic realism one. Here, super realistic, I would say, but it doesn't really hit what we're looking for right now. Nothing exciting. And then here with the Dream Shaper one, very beautiful green. But it's interesting to see that these three models with the same prompts and the same noise create slightly different images. And that's so that's the basis of your whole design process, more or less. Further development of that, and I'll just give you what you should put in, or what I think you should put in, is that you can mix these models, because some of them are better at some things and some are others. And we are looking to create beautiful, realistic architectural images that are also a bit dreamy, or sometimes a bit more realistic. So if you just combine these, so you go to your checkpoint merger, and you combine epic realism with architectural mix at 65%, which means that architectural mix will be at 65%, and the rest will be epic realism. You will do the same for Dream. Then you have two really great models, which you can be using in the coming, forever, I hope, until they come out with new ones. And that mix gets us an image like this, which is a bit dreamy, a bit realistic, a bit beautiful. And just unlock the seed and just start generating a few more things. But the consistency and the image quality goes up because we've created a good basis on which we are going to be generating our images. The next one, the prompt window. The prompt window, you probably saw it up here. Unlike Midjourney, you don't have to do too much complicated stuff in here. You can just type using the same 7 points, a prompt into here, and then the top, just prompts that you want, and the prompts that you don't want it to reference, you put it in the bottom here. You have to imagine that it's just like a Google search. So it's going to look into its folder, the model that which you created. It's going to look for images with the same prompt tag and use those to generate the new image from. It does the opposite for the negative prompt. So that's the freedom or the tweakability you get when building this. And I'll show you more detail a bit later as we dive through. What you want to do in Stable Diffusion, and these are things that you basically just set up once and then you forget about it and you keep using it. What you want to do is you want to set up a style. And this is also one that I've shared with you guys in that folder where it's a basic style where every prompt gets these words added to them. Photograph, photorealistic, hyper-realistic, hyper-detailed. And these ones will just support your image and bring it to the next level. We always want to have a small crowd because that's what we're trying to create. Exciting, inviting spaces. And what we never want to have is a watermark, or we never want to have text censored, deformed people, thick lines, or broken or floating limbs, because that's an issue Stable Diffusion has. It creates all these hands floating all over the space. So I also tried to ignore face up close or selfie or faces really close. I think those just really interfere with the Stable Diffusion model. So then we have our original prompt. And then here with our style included, you can see the resulting images like 50% better, way more vibrant and way more realistic. So by implementing this basic style, each time you upgrade your image a lot. And then here, I added so I didn't like these columns right in the front here. So I added as a negative prompt, the column, and it removes the columns right at the front here. Changes some other things as well, but it's good to know the tweakability now that you have in comparison to Midjourney, where you could never remove the column of this one and it'll keep most of it the same, but just remove that one feature. The power of Stable Diffusion is just unmatched. So I really want to push you guys. That's also what the previous Midjourney one is. Push yourself to make thoughtful prompts. And even though the simple ones, the result is fine, a thoughtful, well thought out and well, designed or engineered prompt garners way better results. And it's very clear to see. Sampling methods and steps. This is the next little thing as you go down. The sampling method is basically the way it creates the image. And this is the clearest image I've ever found of it. It's from a YouTuber online, and he just generated all of these with the same prompt, dog, for every sampler, and then with a different amount of steps. And our goal is to use a sampler that creates an image in the least amount of steps and creates a consistent image each time. So you could see that this Euler A, for example, creates a really nice image in 10 steps, but it's very different from the one it created in 15, and then very different from the one in 40. So, Euler A, sorry, we can't use you because we're trying to look for consistency, and we're trying to get to the image quick. And the same, so that's when you're looking through all of these. It's from practice and testing, it becomes clear that, should I highlight it here, a DMP plus 2M Caras, horrible name, but it is one of the better models because very quickly, within 15 to 20 steps, you have an image which works really well, and it's consistent forever if you keep sampling more steps, which just takes longer. So you're looking for something usable. Then the CFG skill, the next thing down, it's kind of hand in hand with the sampler. But the CFG skill is basically how much it listens to the prompt that you give it and how much it grabs onto the images. So on the left here, if you put it really low, it'll be like, okay, thanks for your prompt, but I think this will work better here or this will work better there. And if you put it all the way to the top, you'll see that it'll really try to grab onto the prompt that you give it. However, sometimes it really messes up the image. Because if you look here, for example, Euler A completely wrecks the image by increasing the CFG skill too much. But here for the one that we're using, DMP2, you have this nice zone between 3 and 7 CFG that works really well, but it doesn't break it to go higher. It just doesn't help us in any way. It just makes it more complicated. But so this is the sweet spot. I'll run you through the prompt that we have. CFG2, CFG4, CFG6, 7, 8, 10, 12, and this starts to get a little crunchy, a little bit horrible. And as you push up, the image just gets worse and worse. So the sweet spot, in my experience, and also what I've seen online, is between this 3 and 7 for the DMP2. I'm just going to call it DMP sampling method. Batching, good to understand this, is we are busy people. You don't want to be sitting there clicking generate, 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 generate every time. So just increase the batch count, randomize the seed, and increase it to something like 12. Gives you a nice square image, which is full. And then we can zoom in and we can look at each one and evaluate them, see which ones we like and which ones we don't. And then when we have one that we like, we can go to it in our viewfinder window here and lock in the seed. By locking in the seed, like I said, we're starting with the same starting noise. So if you hit generate now, it'll just keep generating this image over and over again. So now we have a locked in seed for an image we think is really great, and we can start to work on it. I feel like the dirt path here is horrible, so I added dirt to the negative prompt, and it removes the dirt path. And then, just for fun, added red paint to the building here. Gives us a nice image. The dirt path came back, which just so it's understandable. I just want you to understand it's not science, but it's in some way, you're working on this image slowly, defining it further, cutting away this part, adding this part, changing that. And then, you can do a batch again, and then you can adjust the prompt again, and you can batch it. So that's a little bit the methodology that you're using. So I think these are the points, these are the key things that you need to be playing with. The prompt, the style, set it and forget it. Then you have the sampling method, set it and forget it. Sampling steps, same thing. Batch is something you want to be playing with. The CFG scale is something you can play with. But the main tool that you should be using when going from text to image is this prompt window. A bit more depth, image to image, because as we are in this window, you can click here and send this image directly into the next one, which is the image to image. And it'll transfer all the stats over except for your style, which just good to mention that. And then if you hit generate, it generates a similar image based on, it generates, let's say, an image based on this image, using this image as, let's say, the starting noise for a new image. And here you have a few, so if you scroll down, you have this very much the same things, except for 2, which are different, I believe. The denoise or strength and the control net. These are the ones that you should have installed, or I think the control net, I hope you have installed, because it'll be important. So the denoising strength, I'll go into, control net, I'll go into. The control net, you open it up, it reveals more stuff there, and let's click all of these, enable low VRAM, allow preview, upload independent control image. Doing these things gives you the ability to place images in here, and let's do that. So we place an image in there, and just for now, I'm going to tell you to go to the depth one and explode that, and then you get one. Let's see, then you get this control net image to use as a base. I'm just going to run you through it and then kind of explain what it's doing. And now, when I change the prompt to orange, well, the building changes into an orange building, while everything else is kept quite the same. And here, I changed the building into a jelly building, while everything else is kept the same. So, and here, a rainy day, for example. So the control net gives us the ability to keep the image that you have in, lock it into the framework that you give it because of the input you put into the control net, to generate a new image. And there's few ways to use the control net, a few different types. One, for example, is canny, depth, MLSD, and scribble. These are the 4 ones which I would recommend using a little bit and getting used to, where canny gives you a very detailed line work based on your input. The depth one is a bit, so that'll also affect your output, as you see on the right here. So the same jelly prompt gives us a prompt which is way more related to the previous image, because the control net that we're using is so hard on that the output image. Whereas when you ask this jelly prompt with the depth control net, there's a lot more freedom there to play with for stable diffusion, since it doesn't show, it doesn't have all these vertical lines in here, for example. So the stable diffusion has more freedom to play with it. MLSD is one which just generates the straight lines, which looks great on the box. But then the trees and this weird UFO things that start appearing are just a result of having no control net input on that area. So it works well and it doesn't work well. And the same with the scribble sketch, where it works great for the box, but now we have these strange artifacts on the ground floor. So it's good to be aware that when you're using these different types of control nets, the result will be different, and you can play around with it and get a bit used to it. But good to understand that if you want to keep things like line work really strict, or where people are placed, let's say you have some people placed somewhere, you want to keep them there, the canny is not a bad thing to use. And if you want to give more freedom, possibly the depth is more great to use. So those are the few different just to understand that. The denoiser, as you scroll down here, this is the denoising strength, and the denoising strength affects the starting image. So this one on the left here. And by increasing the denoising strength, the input image, which is put into the stable diffusion, is either made more noisy or less noisy. And when you reduce the noise, like a 0.3, like you see here, the output image is going to be very much the same. And when you increase the noise, the output image or stable diffusion will have more freedom in generating the image. So that's just good to be aware of here. So when your input image is in one way, and maybe it's really bright red, and you don't want it to be bright red, it's good to increase the noise so it forgets it a little bit that was a bright red thing. So for different functions, there's different sweet spots for your noise level. So if you're generating images like we're doing now, the noise between 0.6 and 0.85 or 0.8 are really useful. But if you're just upscaling or tweaking images, little things, refining them, I would keep the noise way lower to keep more of your original image in there. Let's go to the upscaler. That's a little thing right here. Click on that. You can send your image straight to the upscaler. And this is a little bit self-explanatory. Scale by or scale to. You can also, by the way, go to extras and scale image and load your image into here. So that's what all these online upscalers are just doing, right? So you upload an image, they put it in stable diff, I guess, or something, and then they send that back to you if you ever use some of those. But you want to choose an upscaler, just use this Erisgon 4X plus. That one works fine. And then you can upscale your image. It clearly goes from these weird pixelated artifacts to really clean lines, and works very well by so just so you know. Next thing I want to dive into quickly is inpainting. Inpainting is a really powerful tool, but it's also, I'm not really sure where to use it yet, but I wanted to let you guys see it, and so you can kind of understand what it can do for you. Okay, yeah. So here as a joke, I said, okay, then you accidentally refresh your window. What do you do now? You have nothing left. You can go into your PNG info tab right here at the top. Upload one of your previous images that you generated from your AI folder, wherever your images are generating, and use the send to image or send to inpaint command to refine all of your previous work that you did. So you don't have to, re-enter all of the commands and all of that stuff, but it just puts it back in there for you, restarting your workflow more. Let's go to inpainting. Sorry. First, I wanted to mention two things. Good to know that the styles tab is cleared then as well, and also good to know that your control net is cleared then, so you cannot find that from the previous image. So you'll have to reset those before continuing if you want those in. But just wanted to mention that. So in the inpaint tab, image to image generation, inpaint, you can start to do some quite exciting stuff by using the tool here. You can draw in a surface here and just regenerate that area while keeping the rest of the area the same. So here we can change this colorful jelly facade, which we've made before, into this beautiful green facade. And then we can go down. You know, it's not that easy as it made it seem, because there's, again, 1,000 little tweaks where you can inpaint the area that you masked, or you can inpaint the area you didn't mask. You can consider the image which Stable Diffusion takes as a starting point to generate the new image to be the same as the original, or we can use latent noise or just some random mix of noise to generate a new image. So just to be aware of that, if you want it to fit the context, or just keep it on the original. If you are fine, you want something completely new, like a person, which wasn't there before, go for the latent noise. And here, two tools, you can inpaint the area only, or the based on the whole picture. And if you only do the masked area, it means that it'll zoom in and regenerate that area based on all of the knowledge it has of pictures of similar size. So it's a way to upscale certain part of your images, like faces or hands. If those are weird, you can grab one of them and adjust it. So here we go. Let's try another tool. We go into inpaint sketch. This is even cooler, I think. I think this is really exciting one to play with. So let's just paint in using the same tools you had here before. Now you can pick a color and a brush size, paint in also, as a tip, paint in with a little bit like where the highlight would be and where the shadows would be. So here you have the two people. I thought two people walking, it's in the rain, they're walking towards their little jelly cabin. And then, so I put that in the prompt, people in raincoats from the back, sheltering from the rain, and then hit generate, and it completely does something insane. But as you're playing with the noise, with the CFG skill, you can start to get really convincing results. Or let's say, let's add some trees, or let's add a little child here. And then, you know, let's full scale it, and we start to see the face is really weird on this girl, if you saw it here. So that's where Stable Diffusion has a lot of problems. And then we just go back to the inpaint tool, draw a little dot on the face and ask it to generate a child's face. Okay, the child's face looks more realistic and the image becomes more acceptable. And then with a little bit of tweaking in Photoshop, we're able to go from using all these tools, image to image, upscaling it, inpainting it, you know, all the stuff we did, we're able to create a whole new image based on this basic image, which we started with a few minutes ago. I think that's the power of Stable Diffusion. So that's very cool, but how do we apply this within an office? I'm not used to talking for 2 hours straight, but let's talk about where we are in the design process.
Cas, can you hear me?
2.0. Initial dreams have been set, clear sketches and ambitions have been discussed, and the team is aligned based on possibly 3 main directions. And we've created some cool models and want to show them to the client. So let's say that's the phase we're in. So we're in this little bit sketchy phase. So you have your models and boom, you generate one great image. It's just so easy. Well, actually, it's not. It takes a lot more work than people will let on online. It's a process in which you develop your input, you upgrade it in programs like Photoshop, and then you work through it in Stable Diffusion, and then finally combine the elements of the different images that you love in Stable Diff, generating a nice image for you. Let's do a real world example. After a productive meeting, you know, people yelling, your partner or the director in your office or the project leader, as you've worked all day on these beautiful models, the project leader grabs them, smashes them up, and tries to make new pieces, and you're trying to figure out what happened in the meeting. Luckily, an intern on the team has taken a few pictures during the meeting. These are the only images Did I mute you guys?
Hi,
Yeah, hey, sorry.
can you hear me, Cas?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. So you lowered the entire computer's audio. That's why you were not hearing me. But that's so far, it's all good, and we're on a good track. If you need any break, just let us know. And yeah, we can go for a 5-minute break and have a coffee back.
I was just talking forever, and you guys.
No, we were just enjoying what you were showing. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. It's funny. I was just, I was going. I was like, nobody's talking with me, but that's fine.
No, that's good that you were not distracted with us. So it was super awesome.
Well,
Let's continue.
give me two more slides, and then I'll take a little 5-minute break if that's okay.
Yes, for sure. Let's go.
Perfect. So, let's see. You guys can see my screen again on the left. So here we have the images which the intern
Yes,
grabbed
we can
for.
see your screen.
Perfect. So we have the images that the intern grabbed for us, and from the bird's eye and the eye level, and a few key sketches related to them. So one of them is the green growing up on it. The other one is the landscape, which continues up on the building blocks. And the other is two buildings separated, one towards the park and one towards the city. And with this in mind, I will run you guys through after a 10-minute break, because I need a fresh coffee, and I think you guys as well. We'll run you through how to build it up so we can create a really nice image. So give me 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
All good. Thank you so much. So let's get back in 10 minutes.
Okay, I think we're back. I hope everybody's still here.
Welcome back, everyone. Yes, we're here.
Cool. Let me resume the share, and we'll just go right back in. So if you remember, your intern ran into the model shop and just took 3 pictures of the 3 options which are there. And they're all based on different conceptual approaches. And when taking these images and you're developing them in Stable Diffusion, we need to do it in 4 steps, I would say. First one is prepping the input for success. Second is generating your starting image and trying to understand if you're going in the right way. And then tweaking, that takes about 1,000,000 times. And then finally finalizing it in Photoshop. And then this 3-step is kind of this full-on repetitive one that you'll keep doing forever and ever. And I'll go in right now. I will switch the screen share to my other screen now. And I will kind of walk you guys through this first one. So in the images you guys have received, let's take this blue foam, or I'm going to take this blue foam 01 and prepare it for success. Putting it into Photoshop. Key is that when you see this image, you want to return the focus to the main center stage of the project. So just press the C tool, crop in around it, and then imagine yourself being Stable Diffusion and looking at this image. This bar for a second. Looking at this image, there's weird stuff happening up here. There's weird stuff happening up here. And we need to get rid of that. So I'm going to quickly create a new layer. It's not really a Photoshop tutorial, but I'll just name the things I'm doing so you can kind of follow along if you're not so used to using this tool. But, so with the I tool, just press I, click on the here, grab that color, go to my new layer, and then I'll quickly color in this top corner. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just get rid of all of this weird stuff happening around the table. And then here, this model, get rid of that completely. Boom. I think now we have quite a good starting image that we can use as a base. So I'm going to export this one, click export it. And in here, I'm going to create a new folder. Call it, say, the green tower, because that's the goal of this one. I'll call this one one. So this is our base image, which we'll use for the control net. And now we need to, of course, make it a green tower. And we can try to pull all of that input from Stable Diffusion, but I've noticed that in the workflow, it's way faster if we start to already implement some of the features that we're looking for at this moment. And it can be so quick and dirty. So if you just saw, I just Googled park top view. I placed it in here. Looks good. I'm going to put it in at 30% or something. Take my lasso tool, click right through it here. I see this building here. I want to kind of allow for a little bit of a road there, I would imagine. I can get all the way around here, and then click the masking tool. And here we have a really clean, not very clean, but we have a park which leads up to the building. And now we want to help Stable Diffusion to understand the green facade, that we want the green wall to grow up onto the building and up that facade. So let's see if we can find one which just represents that for us. I think this image is a bit too zoomed in. Maybe this one works well. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it just has to get the goal across. So I'm just going to quickly crop this one out because we need to. So I selected it with the M tool, Control J, delete the background, hold Control, then I select the right thing here. I'm just going to scale it up so I know the whole thing is covered, more or less. Ooh, sorry. Hit enter. Press V5, so I'll pull down transparency so I can kind of see what's going on behind it. And here I create the vertical wall which climbs up the building, and I mask it out. A basic image that we can now use to inform, maybe just out of experience, I know that this image feels a little bit, it's not very detailed, so I just pressed Control L, and I'm going to pull up the dark tones in here just to get a nice, clean base image. And here I'll grab all of these, put them in a folder. I'll just call it one. And file, export, quick export. Okay, two, fine. So this is our base image that we've just prepared for success. This image has all of the information we more or less need for it to start generating images in Stable Diffusion that will create good results for us. So here I have the Stable Diffusion window, as we just kind of walk through it. I know I want to drop in the image here. This is going to go create our base. Put that in here. I know I'm going to go on the control net, like we just discussed before. Enable all of these key features, enable low VRM, allow preview. So I'm going to drag and drop it right in here. For now, I'm going to, just from my experience, I know we don't, let's say I generate this canny, for example, the resulting image on the screen is so crazy, it's going to be really hard for Stable Diffusion to work with this. You see all these squiggly lines, it just doesn't allow Stable Diffusion enough freedom to create something. So I would recommend going for a depth one right now. And that's it, we're almost there. Now we just have to put in our style base that we put in before, arc realistic basic. And let's just see what happens if I do hit. Oh, one thing, put it at the right scale. So this project's a little bit higher than wide. So pull down the height, pull down the width, I mean, sorry. Here we go. Let's generate now. Let's just see what comes out if this is something that we want to be working with. It's going to take a second. I'm not working on a really great computer here, but it's fine. What do we see here? It doesn't look great at all. The trees are coming through, so you can see that the base input that we put in really affects the outcome of the image. So what do we want it to be? We want it to be a bird's eye view. It's going to be a housing tower next to park. Let's say it's in New York, and maybe just emphasize the fact that there's lush vegetation, climbing, plants, something like that. Let's see what happens now. I'm not expecting the result to be great yet, or even close to great. And it doesn't have to be great. It just some parts of it have to be good enough for us to work with. So here, instantly, when I look at this, I think to myself, okay, the green wall here, it's working. It's looking good. The buildings and the surroundings, not so great yet. I don't like this lake. It doesn't feel urban. I know why it's doing it, but let's get rid of that lake, pond, sea, I don't know. I just don't want any of that. I just want it to continue random buildings kind of continuing through. Okay, it seems to have a hard time with that. Maybe we need to, so now I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's not really changing this. So it's having a hard time filling in something new here. So maybe we need to add more noise. Let's just pull it up to 0.8 to the original image. So the image that Stable Diffusion is taking is less looking like this original image. Doesn't look like we can get rid of the water, and it's still not climbing plants up so much. So let's go overgrown, maybe. So this is the moment in the process that we're just tweaking, even though we already know we have one great facade in the starting from. Maybe we need to park. Just emphasize the park one more time. Let's see, okay. Now we're starting to get somewhere cool. So I start to see these things and feel like we're going in the right direction. So what I'm going to do is going to start a batch here for 12 images. And at the same time, I'm going to start preparing a new base that we're going to reinsert into the project. So let's say we did like this one. This one had a great green facade. This one had good surroundings. Did any of these have good parks? Does a new one? Not really. Nothing really exciting yet. But that's fine. And I'm going to grab these two at the same time, Control T, just resize them to fit the window. It doesn't really matter so much. We're not doing science here or something. It can be a bit freer. Let me know with this great tool, the wand tool, the object selection tool, see if I can select the tower. So it would be great if we could get a mask on that. So now we've just masked our tower into the old surroundings, but we still have the issue that this park isn't really growing up like we wanted to. So I'm just going to quickly merge these. You can also just rasterize the layer. That's my little trick. And then I'm going to increase the brush size. Go to press S, so you've got the stamp tool. And I'm just going to stamp in here. Look at that. I'm just going to stamp in a little bit of green. And then I'm going to go to the tower here and do the same thing going down. I have to rasterize it again, just so I have a bit more freedom, or push it down. That's not going right, but let's just grab the lasso tool then. Duplicate it. It's completely, I don't know how I would call this, like a little bit gangster or something. You don't care. You don't care. You're just going to do something. You're bringing it to the next level. You're not sure yet. We're pushing the things around a little bit. And it doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be perfect. So here we go. This is our third rendition of that. Let's see if something cool. So now we're done waiting. We can kind of take a look at this. Does anything jump out? Okay, we have a better background here. This one looks better, I think. We don't really have one which really does the overgrown stuff so well. So what I'm going to do is reinsert. See a lot of chats. Use autofill, can sample many layers. New York. Okay, I'm not sure yet, but let's grab the image we just created. Play, Green Tower 3. Let me throw it in there. And let's just pull this batch count down. And just for fun, see what happens now. Because it's gotten different input now, which will, once again, adjust the output. Okay, this did not work as well as I was hoping it would. Grown. Maybe we call it covered in plants. Let's see what happens then. So it's all about a little bit playing with the prompts. Try limiting the control net strength. I think that's also possible, but I don't really, it's a little bit of a play, right? You can tweak little commands here and there. It doesn't really matter. So sometimes you can kind of start the control net a little bit later, give it a little bit of freedom at the end, and that results in more freedom for stable diff. So this is that tweaking part, which I was worried about showing you guys. I don't want to end up at a moment that you don't have a good final result. But it's all about just being open to and playing with it. Constantly think I'm not getting something I'm happy with yet. But what you can do then is add weights to certain prompts. So I was hoping this would get us there. Lush vegetation, overgrown. Maybe we want to, and just by putting parentheses around this prompt. Green facade. Let's get this. Starting to lose the shape a bit too much, you see here with that curve. So I'm kind of wondering to push back on the control net. So as you can tell, it's all about tweaking and finding. And the example I showed you guys before was pulled out of the process. So you're never really, because it's a little bit, at the mercy of the stable diff gods. Yeah, Luis, you're right. It's a bit about a trial and error. And sometimes it just doesn't care what I want. It doesn't want it at all. Maybe let me try to just put this one in the control net. I don't know if it'll affect it so much, but let's see. How's it bird's eye view? I'm going to try to get rid of New York right now. Maybe that's giving it too much pressure on the building side, making it too much like a real building. Covered in. Going somewhere. Just going to get rid of too much glass. Knowing that we already have a good backside, we have a good surroundings. We're only just looking for one image. It can be the whole building basically covered in green, but it just needs to be, we just need it. You know, it can't, I'd rather not try to Photoshop it in. give this about another 3 minutes, and then you can push housing tower. Just go tower. Emphasis on that. See some raised hands. Indeed, we could Indeed, we could try to in-paint, but it just doesn't matter so much. Tower covered in plants. Let's try it. It's all a little bit trial and error and trying to find the right way to see tower covered in plants. It feels like you want it. It should know what you want, but it's having a hard time. Maybe we need to add a little bit of trees. There we go. This is great. Here we go. So just by grabbing that one, so let me grab that. I think this is just a perfect example of this. Let's get that tower. It's nice. It's exciting. It looks green. Let's get the surroundings from the other one. Add. Now it's also important to add a bit of this white facade back here. Good to add a little bit of depth to the image to show that we know. So just by the O tool, going into the background image, adding a little bit of lightness behind the tower, letting it pop a little bit of darkness to the front. It's a bit too much. The idea that it's a 2-minute workflow I'm trying to get in here. Maybe it's a 2-hour workflow or a 1-hour workflow. I'm trying to squeeze into 2 minutes here, just to get you guys along with it. So it'll never be as smooth as I hoped, but I hope the ambition is clear. That you just try to get the image for somebody to understand the option that you're creating. I think this is, it's not great, I'll be honest, but we're getting somewhere, and we can imagine that with this crawling plants, great, climbing facade. You can imagine that with so just very quickly, we've gone for something which looks like this, a real snapshot from an intern, and we're able to transform it into something like this and put that on the screen and just discuss it together. Is this what we want? What do we think of this? And Stable Diffusion automatically adds in certain details, like these horizontal stripes on the back wall there, or the green on the roof, or these types of little features, which you can start to discuss then. So it really grabs the conversation from a really abstract level, this one, where everybody can say, I get it, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of a wooden tower where the green is only on the balconies here, and maybe somebody else is thinking of this whole facade is completely gone. You don't see any windows, and it's completely overgrown. And by testing these things, we're able to, by bringing these things into reality through Stable Diffusion, we're able to move the conversation on faster and in a more structured way. So So it's my, yeah, I don't know, it's like a little fun first thing I would recommend. First, not first, it's actually the fourth one, way that we can re-implement Stable Diffusion into our design process by this way. And now I would like to ask you guys to do the same thing. Maybe we'll take 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know if you've been following along, but trying to do the same thing, tweaking one of these options, and trying to create one design direction that clearly matches the concept that you're going for in a clear way that clarifies the concept. I hope you guys could take about 10 minutes for that. I'll keep an eye on that. I see a bunch of questions that come in. I'll answer those. I'll answer the questions out loud as you guys are kind of testing these little things. Yeah, indeed. The results. So here I'm just reading the practical and interesting, nicely done. For the time that was spent, the result is very good. And I agree, Thiago. It's the funny thing is just the time spent and the results are just insane. The amount of communicative power that these have is really powerful. How many people on a project team spend time with AI? A dedicated or 2 to 3 people working together on an entire team. So it's more of an MVRDV question, but in principle, we have teams varying from 1 person to 8 or 9 or 12 people. And sometimes there's an assignment that we're all working on, and that could be fixed by AI, and then people are doing that with AI. So it's not like a dedicated person to AI or something like that. It's really really integral to the design process. If you could do your graduation thesis project, I think I answered that already. Can you provide a link to access Stable Diffusion? I'm sorry, I can't give you guys access to our Stable Diffusion because that it's too much private stuff on there from our office, which wouldn't be useful to you guys. Let me see, are there any more questions? Otherwise, I don't know. I'm sure. I think Stable Diffusion also. So somebody asked if Stable Diffusion also works on Mac. I think it works on both. Yeah, I wish I could give you guys access to the Stable Diffusion on our server, but it's not something I could do for you guys. Our computers couldn't handle all the requests. People are using so are you combining the images from Midjourney into Stable Diffusion or using it as 2 separate tools? And I think in the design process, Midjourney doesn't allow for enough accuracy. So what I just showed you is a way more accurate way of using Stable Diffusion. So in the process, I can't be showing Midjourney images at this point anymore. That's because let's say the program's not in. But with this Stable Diffusion image, I can be sure that if we continue developing the project in this way, that there is enough program in the building. Just simple things like that, or we do have the maximum height. See a lot of people asking about the LoRa. Some people are training LoRa's in the office indeed, but I am not currently using it so much. Try to keep it. There's so much to learn in this. I try to keep it focused. You prefer Midjourney and Stable Diff? I'm going to give it 3 more minutes before continuing. By the way, I think, like I was saying, is Midjourney is unbeatable in the first design phases, but Stable Diffusion is just way more powerful later. So it gives us way more control. Do you see these tools as more related to the day-to-day office life in your experience? Do you share these studies with clients as well? I'm curious how the FOH client's relation could be handled. There is, I love these tools, AI tools, but they are just tools. So if you can get an image to a point that you are comfortable sharing it with the client, because it is clean, fresh, realistic, buildable, we should be completely fine doing that. But you have to, I would always mention that they are AI images just to be able to, reduce expectations and make it, reasonable. Is it useful to integrate Stable Diffusion on Grasshopper? Sure, some people can do it and it works really well. Other people have a lot of hard time with it. I would really recommend the 6 workflows I'm trying to push for today. I think those are just things you can do tomorrow in a way that you can actively integrate Stable Diffusion and Midjourney in your real design flows. There's way more depth. There's a big plunge you can take to the next step. That's for sure. Just going to continue to the next one. I think it's pretty clear. Or I didn't see anybody coming in with images yet. It's pretty tough, I think, to work with this stuff live. As you saw, I'm trying to do it in 5 minutes and it just doesn't always come out the way you want it. Flip the screen. So I think the next step that we're going to do, and I'm going to do it live again, let's hope it's a more beautiful result this time. And that's the enhanced masking studies. I've kind of created in a Rhino model, which you guys have seen, which I hope is shared with you guys. I think I saw PA posting the links to those things, where there's multiple options within this Rhino model. And we're going to do the same thing again, prep the input for success, generate, tweak, and finalize. And let me quickly. I flipped it over. To the Rhino again. Here we go. I believe you guys can see the old thing again. Here we go. This is the one I'm looking for. So let's prep this one for success because we want to make a cool Stable Diffusion image. We're further on in the process. We have now created a few options, 2 options specifically, which are both very cool and open, to be developed by the client. However, in trying to convince them, we need to pull them more from this abstract model that we have here, where we can show many screenshots of, and we need to pull them into the real world. And we can do that through Stable Diffusion, I think. So I'm going to quickly go into options. And I've shared a display mode with you guys. It's where you can import it. Enhanced masking studies, viewport diagram, simple. This display mode is just amazing, and I really recommend using it. I remember back when I started, we would be doing V-Ray renders just to get to this quality of images, and that's just, doesn't have to be done that way anymore. I'm just going to set up a quick viewport here, a viewpoint, aimed views. Save this one. I'll call it perspective 1. We'll keep that one here for now. And when I look at this image and I try to envision Stable Diffusion, what it's going to do with this, it's going to have a hard time. A lot of these lines are in strange colors. Another issue is that the perspective is in perspective mode and not 2 points. So I'm going to quickly adjust that and update that. It's because the model that we're using is trained on a lot more 2-point perspective models. These buildings are purple or lilac, which doesn't work very well. And then we have these sidewalks, which are bright red. These are fine colors to use during the process, but don't really work now anymore. So I would, for a stable diffusion. So let's just pick nice, soft beige colors. Let's say this project's taking place in Lebanon or something. So we're talking about a little bit more stony, a little bit more beige. Maybe our surrounding buildings are a little bit desaturated in our design, actually. Take that same color and lighten it up a little bit, make it fresh. Here we go. I see that all the curves are white. That's going to be something hard for the control net to deal with. So I'm just going to cell curve, change all of those to black. This is, once again, just a bit of a trashy method to deal with this, but it works because we're just preparing it for the rendering for stable diff. So here we go, this one. And then we have a few people in and trees that are built into the file, but we actually don't want those because they confuse stable diffusion. And from this, we go to view, capture. We want to view, capture to file. And then let's do a custom viewport of about 1,000 by 500. And we make the scale 4, just so we have a big enough image for stable diff to work with. I'm going to once again save this in our enhanced massing studies. I'm going to call this city block 1. So this is our base image, the first one we're working with. I'm going to go right in here into Photoshop again. So we're prepping the image for success. It's not a bad image in base, but I think we need to enhance the park here a little bit, add a bit of green to the top, and give a soft color to the background. Maybe let's just put in a real sky there, just to give stable diff something to work with. I'm trying to enhance the chance as much that we get a good result. So I just grab the magic wand tool, grab the sky, put a mask on this folder, that thing, throw that. So then I throw the sky into there. Working on a server, it's not always as fast as I have it when I'm actually there. So here the sky looks okay. Let me just soften it just so it doesn't impact the image too much. I think now we need grass or a field, maybe something that looks like grass in perspective. Here we go. Pull that out of the masked region. I'm going to mask. I'm going to mask this green stuff here. And just by adding these little things, it's not necessary but it just makes it way easier to generate good results. Tree PNG. Just the first one, doesn't even matter. Pull that out again. So it's like I don't know, shooting from the hip type of workflow that I always really like, because we're going to get results quick and dirty, but they're going to be just good enough in the time that we have to get stuff clear and communicated well to the client. So, okay, something's going wrong down there. Let me just add a few, 2 trees, 3 trees maybe. One up close just for the nice, just to get a bit of depth into this image. Cover this building up front because we'll never get stable diffusion to hit that image as beautiful, as realistically as it will be there, unless you start to more complicated workflows. But so we're in family, Lebanon, right? Maybe just do family in park, PNG. Let's see what we're getting. Okay, There we go. That's not a bad image. Just to get a little bit of happiness into this image, we'll just grab the object selection tool again. Select this family. Get it? Oh. I think this one's just a bit too complicated for it, with all this stuff happening behind it. This one. So it's also the same family, actually. Very funny. It's up here. And I see I cut off the head of the girl, which just doesn't work, but we're going to keep going by just replacing it with this one. So here we have the image prepped for success, almost, because I want to add a little bit of love to the plinth here. I would think even though we all understand it's something like a really exciting and inviting space, it's not being shown yet so clearly. So let me just quickly create, see my spacing is too high. Let me just quickly create a set of entrances. Merge them, and I cut it open. Just shift it down and then shift them out a little bit like this. It just gives the hint of some type of entrance happening there. Maybe not that hard. It's not perfect, but remember, we're on this fake 5-minute deadline, needs to be done in 2 minutes, right? So the idea that we're working under pressure here, trying to get stuff done as quick as possible with the highest level of quality that we can get in a short time. So I'm just going to clear it up by refreshing. So now our base image has been prepped for success. We're getting one bit of tree on the rooftop. It doesn't have to be exactly right, but you'll see that if I just take the lasso tool, just mask out this stuff, this big stump, invert the mask, unlock it, shift it down a little bit. We're starting to get some hints of little bushes. Just do the same thing here. So I'll remove the mask quickly. It starts to be, you can imagine there's a lot of nice trees up there, right? That's what it kind of has to hint at as you're, that's what Stable Diffusion needs to imagine there. It doesn't have to be perfect. And these are, now we've kind of created an image, looks like it's from the 90s or something, which is quite funny. But it's just an in-between step in our workflow. So here we go, clean. What's it? Arc realistic basic. I'm going to insert the. I see a lot of comments coming in. Oh, I forget something. Let's see. So indeed, we're basically just prepping the image, or that's how I like to do it. I'm sure other people do it slightly differently, but we're prepping the image for success so that Stable Diffusion can fix it up for us in a way that we bring it to the next level. So let's go eye level, photograph, housing, building, next to park again. Next to park, beige, natural stone is kind of the material we want to go for. I think it should be a bright, sunny summer day, cozy, something like that. Historical buildings. I think that's kind of the context we're going for. And arched plinth with shops, shops. It's cozy. Let's just see what we get out of here. And I already know I made a mistake. This is completely wrong. We didn't actually hit the canny. So you can see the result's not always great, especially when you don't enable your control net. Here we go. You see it's got more control than we had previously, but because we want it to have exactly this number of floors. And we need it to have that. And here we go, the width. I'm going to increase the width slightly. So it hits the whole image. Okay, we're getting something, but it's not there yet. I think it's still taking too much of an original image. But you can tell already it's understanding these arches, it's understanding the buildings back here. Maybe I need to add in the city or something. Here, look, we can see the road is great here. And the trees are fine. The lighting is good. We need to create nicer facade. So grid facade, windows. Let's see what it gets out of it. I'm not really giving it words that what I want, but I just imagine words that people have used to tag the images that relate to our project. So this is not bad. I think yeah, this is kind of funny that we got here so quickly because I think this is actually quite good. Let's see, I'm just going to drag it in here. My workflow's a bit messy. Two, and then here we go. I'm just going to drag it in here and just to understand what we're looking at and what's good and what's bad. I think when you look at the original image, showing this second one to a client after, let's say, what was it now, 30 minutes of work is just spectacular. The client will go crazy. But we need to do more because conceptually it works up top. We understand those are levels. We don't really know the facade yet, but there is some hint of it. We understand there will be openings in it. But the plinth here still looks a little bit dead to me. I would honestly just fix it in Photoshop by a little bit of an orange glow. Let's see if I can quickly do that. I wonder if we can then reinsert that image into Stable Diff and it will kind of fix it for us, or if it needs to be more than that. People happy with it. But it's the funny thing is that how fast we can go from this to this, and the amount of excitement you can give a client or a studio director or whoever, a person, your boss, by showing him or her something, which is usually takes a while. An image like this isn't something you get in the first week of rendering of the design process, but now we can get there in first week. We can get there day 2 if you want, Okay, it's getting nicer, I'll be honest, but let's do small shops. Images. Let's just add. Try to find an image where it looks like, there we go. An image that I can just throw in. Just put it over this orange stuff. So it's not really there, but it's a little bit there. I can imagine a little market underneath here, people having a little food market. Quite nice. Because we have the control net from the previous one. I'm not too worried about little overlaps like this. Of course, you can erase them and the result will be better. But because we have a control net, it won't screw it up too much, you know? Maybe just get rid of that. Sort 4. So now you like the fact that I'm not using Photoshop AI. I don't think the Photoshop AI is so great yet that I can use it reliably. Let's see if we can get an activated plinth in here. If not, we could even use this image more or less. So yeah, you need to dive more into the plinth with, let's just do this. Decrease it a little bit. I feel like there's a little bit of stuff happening there. I would be quite comfortable showing this image in a client meeting. So I think that's quite fun. Did we have an updated one of this? This one looked a bit better, right? Oh, screw that up a little bit. I think so. Now I just see that the road here is not so great, but so you can imagine now that I would go back to that first one where I said the road was great. Let's see. You just go in, put it in. We're not here to make a perfect export straight from stable diff or from Midjourney. It's just impossible. You're gonna cry yourself to sleep because you need that perfect prompt and it just deleted that road when you wanted that. It's all about just, did I delete it? It's all about being smart with your time. So here we go. I think this is a nice image. We can see a few key elements which we were intending to keep in. The plinth is open, fun, exciting. It keeps these arched shapes in there. We've got this activated park where you see a family or a hint of a family. It doesn't look great, but we get it. The rooftops are green, and it feels like we're in the historic city center. It's not perfect, but we get the hint. We understand that it's not a modern shopping district or something. It works really well in to get us there. I think I will quickly go to the presentation again. And I think you can imagine what my next slide will be. Because I would like to ask you guys also to take the time to try this by yourselves. I saw the previous one didn't get that much of a reaction. Anyways, I need to get a little drink of water, but let's take 10 minutes or something. You guys just try to play with it, see what comes out. I'll also answer some questions in the meantime. You have the files in the folder, I believe. So go for it. Let me screenshot this. Get that to you guys as well in the chat. Oh, I see some already coming through. That's awesome. I see a few questions. You can always add a bit of detailing for the facade with the script. Indeed, you could do that really easily. I'm just trying to show a workflow where we're going so fast that we don't have time for that. You have the meeting in 2 hours. Let's go for it. Let's push this crazy simple model, which was made last night. We have the meeting in 2 hours. Can we give it that final push that we get further? So maybe you don't have time to write the Grasshopper script or panelize the facade and add window openings, this and that. But we do have time to just knock it through stable diff. Because the screenshots that we normally are able to share just won't reach that quality. Let's see. I'm just using Stable Diffusion, the SDXL. Can you invert your shared screen? You are sharing your notes. Was I sharing my notes the whole time?
No, I see
Okay.
the assignment 3 channel. In
Yeah.
15 minutes, take one of the, I don't
Yeah,
see
okay.
your notes. I mean, probably
For those
while
before.
you're switching to Discord, maybe you can
Mhm.
just share your entire screen so we can see the Discord as well.
Sure. So now I'm kind of reading. Is this which one I'm
Mm,
sharing actually? Let me share the Discord. Here we go. So here I
oh,
see.
no, I see your presentation right now, the PowerPoint file.
Are we good now?
Yes, great.
Good. It's because I'm logged into a computer at the same time as I'm zooming on the laptop. So I'm missing the green border, which shows which I'm sharing. But
That's
it's
fine. That's fine. Right now I can see it.
perfect. This is very cute, whoever's making this. But you can tell instantly that, for example, back here, by not photoshopping out those edges, it'll always affect the image. And stable diff will always think your thing is on a table or in front of something. It'll be very hard to get rid of that without photoshopping and preparing your input beforehand. Do we have any interior examples? I will not show you any interior examples. I will only do exterior. But you can imagine the workflow is very, very similar to the exterior workflow. Would it be a good idea to get the reference image from Midjourney and tweak it in Stable Diffusion? Yeah, it's really, really fun idea. I think that's also what I did on my LinkedIn. On my LinkedIn post about this um, returning to playing with Legos. I didn't actually make the Legos. I just generated Lego towers with Stable Diffusion, with Midjourney, and then put those into Stable Diff to get a lot of fun results. Let me see if I can put that on the screen quickly for you. So it's just a fun way to test yourself, and you don't have to go out and buy Legos, but it's just, yeah, use Midjourney as a base. Here you can see, starting with this Midjourney image of a folded piece of paper, generating a little house. They work well together, these programs. When you design your buildings, are they typically made in Rhino or Revit or in a combination of these while using AI tools? You got it right. So each tool has a really clear use. Rhino is quick and dirty and will get you through a lot of stuff and create really high quality images and works well for in that way. But it also helps you, works well with Grasshopper and stuff like that. And then slowly, as you dive deeper into the process and the less things are open, you can start to use programs like Revit, which are way more powerful in exporting big sets of drawings and stuff like that, and carries a lot of information. It also works well with advisors at the same time. But so as you go in the process, your tool set changes from Rhino and CAD maybe to or SketchUp and CAD. I know some people use SketchUp more, to Revit or Revit and Dynamo, and it just goes with the process. But Stable Diffusion, I think, has a role, and these AI tools have a role all throughout the process. This one is cool. Which is this one? I'm trying to think. It looks cool. Not seeing anything in here, so I'll just keep my eye on the chat. How long would you keep trying before going back to your old ways of doing things? I think you're right. That is the toughest question. When you're in a process, you're in If you have to, that's the hard thing, you know. You can make a beautiful render using V-Ray or whatever, but it'll take more time. And but you know for sure that there will be a nice render at the end of the journey. So that's just like a little bit of a gamble currently. I'm still trying to convince people that it is the way forward, and we are testing it. And sometimes it goes wrong, and you just get screwed over, and sometimes it goes great, and everybody's super happy. But there's a little bit of a play there. Can it be used as Stable Diffusion from free, from which the site can be accessed? Stable Diffusion is free, but you just have to download it and run it on your own computer, Armin. Yeah, I love this. This is good. This is how you should use Stable Diffusion. But it's funny though, the freedom it gives you, cakes and stuff. So, but does other things, Max Aquatown, can you try it with a building or a result that works well for a result that would work well for let's say a client? Nancy Herman, I agree. There is no going back. Humans must adapt now to the AI that's coming in. Keep track. I'll give you 2 more minutes and I'll continue. I can tell the stable diff stuff is just not easy to do. It's a little assignment. So I think it's fine too. But I think this one is really interesting to see. As you can see, it adds so much beautiful detail here. It really grabs my attention, but you need to still do the post-processing. So the pre-processing was good. For Stable Diffusion, result is good, but you need to do that last step where you're still blurring out the background slightly. You know, you got to add that depth in here. You got to pull your building out and separate it from the background here. We have to do something about if this is your concept, right? It's just a normal housing tower, and something about this big roof space, which is drawing so much attention. So I think just a little bit of post-processing, you've got this image, you've got it down, you know. Still see some Sami dwellings coming in. See, Luke is asking, what AI tool do you think is coming next? Do you animate your AI visuals? I've tried animating the AI visuals. It's super cool and it works sometimes, but when do you do it? When do you take the time to animate these things? And because it doesn't work on posters. If you're giving a digital presentation, it won't work. Because you know you've got Zoom, there's lag, they're only getting 3 of the 10 frames, it just doesn't work. And if you're there live, it's always screws up. It's just sometimes you have to be better safe than having put in all of this time to get this beautiful render. But so I would stay away from it for now because it just doesn't work yet as good as we would want it to work. The only thing I would want to animate is just a little bit of trees waving in the wind, maybe, and that's it, maximum. I don't think this one's coming out of any of the images I shared, but it's cool. Okay, very cool. Let me pause the screen share. Let's see, one more question here. Have you tried images from your own projects? If we've tried retraining Stable Diffusion model using images from your own project? Yeah, we're working on that, of course. It's super exciting, but very hard. Get this. I'm going to share my presentation again. Should be sharing the assignment now again. I'm going to go to the next slide. So as we dive deeper into the process, less things are open. And but we're asked to do these really repetitive tests as architects in the process, testing hundreds of different materialization options. And I'm calling it materialization now, but it can be different things, openings, balcony types, where there's an infinite number of solutions, where 90% of the things are already set in stone. The amount of percentage open to close, for example, the window placement is based on the program behind it. And the floor-to-floor height, the balcony types, maybe 90% of the building is set, but that last 10% is creating a lot of discussion. Then you as an architect are asked to dive in and make 600 different options for materials, and those things cost a lot of time. So I think here, once again, Stable Diff can come in clutch and help us. Let me go share a screen here. Come in clutch. I think you guys can see my screen now. Can come in clutch, especially when doing those repetitive studies. So here I'm just going to go in. So once again, we start with extra tabs that pop open. Sorry. Once again, we go in and we take this model and we prepare it for success, just like before. So using the same diagram white view mode, we go in, we set view, set camera, orient to serve. Sorry, forgot the command for a second. Named view. I'm going to save it here. And then quickly adjust it to 2-point perspective. I want just a little bit of tilt on it so we don't lose the realism here. And I want a little bit of blue color in the glass. So I'm going to select these two layers, select object, set object display mode to shaded, and then make sure that the material that we're using here is transparent enough so we can see something behind it. And this is more or less okay, so a little bit less transparent. This one's still doing something, I'm not super happy. Select all, I'm gonna turn off this stuff. Okay, well, it's fine as a starting point. Just this dark color, which is now a brown color, will really affect the outcome. So I'm going to go to a nice light gray. That'll help us, help Stable Diff make its own choices when choosing the materials and have more freedom and not make every material this dark brown. So I'm going to go view, capture to file. It's the hardest command for me to type, it seems. Go view, capture file, custom to 1,000, 500 again. I'm going to scale for it, just get a lot of quality there. Materialization, add study. And here we have the first image. And to prep it for Stable Diff is a lot easier now, because we don't want to add so much information, but we do want to give Stable Diffusion a little bit of a hint of where the sun's coming from. So I'm just lightening up this side of the image. Just going to darken this side a little bit, just with the O tool, the dodge and burn tool, and then I'm going to export it again. I think that's about all we need to do for this one. Then we can go straight into Stable Diff. I'm just going to refresh, clears out everything here. Add the realistic base, image to image. That study that we just created. Enable all of these things. And go to Canny. But I think, for example, now, since everything is a straight line, we could also do the MLSD. But it just, in theory, you could do it, but you can see some lines are just weird right now. So I'm just going to go back to the Canny. We can try with depth as well, but here it's very simple prompt, I think would be the best. Facade. And let's do wood. And I'll pull this one. You can tell it works quite well. We have a wooden facade now. In 5 seconds, vertical slats. Then let's do vertical wood slats that are very thin. Great. Some parts are working great, some are less great, but it's getting the goal across. Bricks. Let's see. So I'm taking requests now. So it's doing some type of concrete blocks now. Still shiny red ceramic tiles. So just it's insane how easy this is. It's like not reasonable to do it in any other way, I would almost say. It's doing something crazy, it's not sure what to do there, but you can tell this is working quite well. And it automatically fills in some of the other details. It makes the window frames red, which, you know, maybe not what you're intending to do, but it is something that's a cool result. Let's just try metallic, red, let's go blue, green, red. I think especially images like this work really well when upscaled. Yeah, this is just really cool. I don't know how else to say it. I think the only thing I do here, so let's just take this one, because the quality now is so low because it's so zoomed out. I would go into the extras, for example, and use that upscaler. So I'm just going to turn on the Euler or the Argan 4 times, but I just wanted 2 times, big enough. Let's throw this one. Throw this one straight into Photoshop. Throw it right over here. And the only thing that's missing here in how I would explain it to anybody is that the balcony here just doesn't work as it's silver. So I would just try to, let's see if it works if I just grab it here. I don't think it will. You can be optimistic. And just do something like this really quickly to make it clear that that's our ambition. Maybe I would just erase the in-between things, but this is just, you know, instead of trying to go through stable diff and trying to fix everything so it comes out perfect, I would just go in and do these little tweaks by hand. Just saves you so much time and gets the result done. So export, material study 3, PNG, done. You've just done 6 different options. Imagine having to do that in Enscape or V-Ray or whatever. Each time you have to find the right texture, adjust it, put it in, make sure the lighting's fine. It takes a few seconds to render, and then you're putting them on. You know, it's just the time that you spent there versus what we did now is just insane. And the result, it looks good. It's not perfect, but you can get the first discussion in and get the team aligned in one direction before you know, pushing through and fully detailing it, checking, you know, then you can, so then we agree blue bricks in a gradient to the top right, very cool, we need that. How do we do it? We call up the tile people. We ask what their sizes are. Then we start to model those things. And then you can start to realize it. But you don't have to do that for all of the different materials. We can just get their ambitions really clear and then knock out the rest in one go. I think that's I think that one went really smooth. Yeah, I'll give you guys a moment also to play with that one. Let me put the assignment on the screen. Zoom share. This is the assignment for, just take 15 minutes. The file is in there. Feel free to just test it. Take you, okay, we won't do 15 minutes. I don't think it's necessary. Anyone wants to follow, use a link to your Stable Diffusion control, like any online installment. Nice. See if anything else came in the meantime. If you guys created some amazing stuff. I can share some of the prompts that I've been using just today. Zoom share. Oh, nice. So you see here you use, I guess this is the Arctic viewport mode. I would use the other one that I provided. I think that helps a lot. And here what you see very clearly is that the trees, I put those in there kind of as a red herring because I knew people would do this. If you put the trees in that Enscape gives you or something, or very simple ones, Stable Diffusion just doesn't understand them. You're gonna keep trying to use them. It just doesn't work. Back here, it seems to work fine in here, but these up close, it just thinks it's a part of the building. So good to be aware of that, but it's good that you tested it. This one is really cool. Did you? SIB, these are really good. I think this one is really. So Mark, you're testing them out. That's nice. But you see the Arctic mode, it's not giving enough input to the Stable Diffusion model, so it's missing these lines. So in the file, you can also install the, let's see, show you. In the file I provided you guys, there is a viewport mode, viewport simple diagram. You can just in Rhino typing options, go to the views, display modes, and import it in, and you can have this diagram white mode. This one works really great for Stable Diffusion, but also for diagrams. It just speeds up your workflow like crazy. Yeah. So this is clear. You see the control net. So I would really use the, this looks good too. These are really fun. It's fun to see what other people are doing with it. You can see, I think the base that you're using here, the model. So let me see. The model that Hugo is using here is way more artistic and artsy, which means that the results will also be a bit more artistic and artsy and a little bit more free. Surprisingly similar to mine. I think you just used a screenshot from mine, right? That's what I'm guessing. But these are also very cool. But you have to imagine, so this one, I would never be confident showing this to anybody. The outside shape is just too crazy. It's also because of my knowledge of this more wavy architecture is just lacking. I've never done anything like this. So I wouldn't be confident showing something like this if it's possible or not. The inside, on the other hand, looks amazing, and I would maybe try to use it in one which looks straighter. But very cool. I list the models you recommend for Stable Diffusion. Yes, sure. I did in the link that keeps being shared by PA, Philip Baum, you can find all the models that I'm using. It's Epic, Realism, Dream Shaper 8, and architectural realism, something V10, I don't know. But those three, they work well in combination. So I would always mix the what's it called? I would always mix the architectural realism one with one of the other ones, about 60, 40, 65, 35, something like that. And that way you can get the results that we all think work well, or that work well. I think especially when you just saw the material study, it just works super well. Okay. Seeing people still love the Sami one. Or maybe they took a break, they put it on pause. That could be it too. But it's good to see. Let me see if there's any. I think these are also really good to see. I'm gonna pause for a second and I'm gonna try to start the last biz communication one. Is this one put in? I think you guys can see my screen again without all my notes. But the final step, and it's kind of what all of these are doing, is they help us communicate with other people, where we are so used to using just these really simple massing models to communicate. They're often too abstract for anybody but architects or people, or even within architects, within our team sometimes even. I notice that people don't always understand the same things from the same inputs. For us, because we're all coming from different knowledge bases, it's really important to communicate well with each other. And I think here is where Stable Diffusion can really push us further as a communication tool. So very specifically now, I'm going to give an example of that we're working with visualization studios and often having to push them to re-render an image from day to night in the last 3 days. It's literally what happens all the time here, because we just don't communicate it clearly. So I'm going to run through that process in the way you can use Stable Diffusion to communicate more clearly with your visualization company or within the team about what renders you want to make or the direction should be of the images. I think I'm sharing the Rhino model now. Yep, should be good. Here we have a beautiful little stack building. I'm going to set it to the same display mode. As we learned, the architectural realism model is based in a lot of 2-point perspective. So let's set it in 2-point perspective. And then look at the model now. I'm going to turn off these trees, cell, color, hide. And I'm going to go into these files. Once again, let's say our building is a wooden building this time. So a slightly darker one. It doesn't hurt to give a bit more information to Stable Diffusion, especially in this stage. I'm going to turn off the masking on the inside only of the windows. And these buildings and the surroundings, they're just boring ones. We don't want them to focus on that at all. And now just grab our glass, set object display mode, shaded, gives that nice transparency to the glass. See, there's no floors in there. So I'm going to turn on the floors, which I, of course, put in there to the right there. Let me quickly grab that. It's a mistake I made. Sorry, guys. Just grab it, unlock it, grab it, turn on your gumball and just drop it right in there. And that's really perfect for it. Right now. And here we go. And view capture it to file. And I'm just going to leave it like this for now. AI, just Viz communication, Viz comp. Let's put it in one. So we're doing the same thing again. We're starting by preparing our model for, optimal functionality within the Stable Diffusion. There, yes, so let me just grab the sky again. This one worked very well before. Grab the wand tool. I'm going to select the sky here. Make a folder, mask it out, put it in, put it up. And add a little fade out of the back here in white, just because it always gives a better effect. Just to give it a bit of a realism there, I'm going to turn this one softer. Now I think all we need is a little bit of a dark freeze. This is perfect. It might not move that much. Just take whatever you can grab from this image. This tree looks great. Let's see if I can just instantly take it out. And it doesn't work yet. One and delete all that stuff. I'm contiguous, so turn that off. Delete that. Just need a few foreground trees, and then I think we're there. Oh, wait, let me also put a little bit of a park with some people on the ground here. I'm just going to grab the wand tool, select the ground here, and mask it out of this image. It's not great. Get some sort of that effect, I think. So all I'm doing now is just, once again, prepping the image for Stable Diff. Get the most out of it. We just need a few trees on the left here. I'm just going to do again tree.png. What else? Grab the object select tool. Move this over. Do the same thing here. It's not a beautiful image at all. This is maybe the worst one, so maybe we're pushing it a bit, but let's see what happens. I'm going to file exports as PNG. I'm going to do the Viz communication 2. Then again, just like we've done so many times, it seems repetitive, but each one just requires a slightly different approach, a slightly different amount of prep work. So this in here, control net, turn it on again. So here, you can do a lot more with the canny now. And I think I want it to be off right at the beginning. So here you can kind of adjust when it starts and when it stops listening to the control net. If we want to give it a bit more freedom. And then just see high level level photograph, wooden built wooden power. We turn on our real basic. See if we can get this looking okay without too much work. Okay, it's getting some things right, some things really wrong. The ground is wood. So let's do grass in a park. Seems to be our theme today. In a park, everything's in a park. created some path and some water. I think I don't want that, so I'm just going to turn this down a little bit. See, I think the image I put in here on the ground just doesn't work super well, but let me quickly adjust that then. I'm just going to push this over. Let me grab the stamp. Just erase these people. No. Erase the people underneath. It's a little bit trashy, I would say, how I'm doing this, but it's about the result, I think. I think that'll help us a lot here. It's again tweaking the input here. I was getting a little bit too casual with it. First, we want to just get this base image done and clear and understandable. For some reason, it thinks it's a lake. So let's get rid of lake here in the negative prompt, because the rest looks good right now. So park is good. The trees are good. Our building looks fine. Don't think we're getting rid of this little sand patch for now. But the idea here is now that we can, for example, say snow day, sunny day. Let's see what it does. Show this one. See, it's trying to fight the green grass here a little bit too much. But in this way, let's say now we can just export this image and say, hey, do we want this render to be snowy? Do we want it to be autumn evening sunset? Let's see. You can just push all the unclarity in the images. We can get rid of it, and we can just show these beautiful atmospheric images. The quality is low, and I'll admit there's a lot of abstraction here still, but it just helps us communicate with visualization department. Summer day, without having to lose time there. And you can see that it just works. I don't know, it's really surprising to me each time how well this works. Summer day, and let's say one more, a rainy, stormy night, but we want it to be cozy as well. You see how crazy this was stormy just now. See how beautiful that becomes. It just works. I think that's pretty clear. I would like to ask you guys to do the same thing as we've done now each time. I'd like to ask you if you could also try for a minute to play with that. So as again, we prep the input for success, add a little bit of activation here and there, try to generate it. Okay, we see some things are coming in. You saw the people that we put in the park weren't working well. Let's just paint them out, and then we can finalize them. I'm going to take a 10-minute break, I think, and then we'll be interested to see what you guys have made. And then that's it. Then I'm going to wrap up. I have a nice little reflection at the end. But this is very exciting, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys can do.
Thank you, guys. Let's go for a break. In 15 minutes, we'll be back.
Some of these are looking so good. So tell us what the prompts are that you used here. I would be interested. Or also, I think the people that you hire to make these renders, these beautiful final images, it's not the same as just a quick click and it's done render. It's about composition, getting the right things in, the right people, the right, there's so much more detail in making a final image that Stable Diffusion can't yet compete with that. I think that's what you saw at the beginning, for example, in my presentation, those images that were made. Maybe now knowing that that's the final result, Stable Diffusion can recreate those, but it could never hit all of the conceptual markers to such a detailed level that we would be happy with it. So I think currently there is not a replacement yet for like a visualization studio by using Stable Diff, for example. But so yeah, you're right. In the end, we would still have someone make a render. Because you can see the controls just, sometimes it's just slightly missing. Like we want to show that the housing here is single family housing. We want to show here that these are luxury apartments which are full width. We want to show here that this is a 24/7 disco or something, just the freedom. And that's something that we wouldn't be able to do or couldn't do in Stable Diff. I think also when you look at renders like done by Mir or something, that the depth and the quality is just beyond what Stable Diff can do currently. Currently, it cannot be used to create a 3D model. Is it possible in the same building from different angles? Yeah, so that's the thing. I think once you have this one render set up, you could, for example, lock in the seed and just move it around and then re-render it and lock in the seed and re-render it. And I think it'll be fine. It won't be perfect, and that's just Stable Diff. It's not perfect yet, but we'll get there. It's workable, I think. Yeah, so indeed, it is possible to use this material ID. I think it's in Stable Diff. It's a different type of control net. Tile, I think, or segmentation, I'm not sure. I just don't use it so much. I think it's a different input or something, but then you can literally give Stable Diffusion the information like, hey, this stuff, everything that's blue has to be glass, everything that's green has to be grass, everything that's, and it has like color codes set up for that. So there is a way to do that indeed. It's just super time consuming. And the result is really good, but it's super time consuming. And that's something I would try to avoid. Just by looking at your image, Mr. Lolo, I think your CFG scale is way too high, or your control net is too detailed. I'm not sure. If you want to share a screenshot, I can look with you. So here you can see the guidance strength is too high. I would set it back down to 7. I think then the result will be better. And the prompt strength, you can do 0.8. Damn, some of these are looking so good. It's crazy. You can imagine sharing this image with the render company or even in-house and saying, hey, this is what the vibe of our building is about. It's a wooden stack of boxes, each with a different materials slightly. And it's next to this lake. It's beautiful and active. And even in the winter, people will come out here. This image just speaks to oh, sorry. Good that you're letting me know. This image just really speaks to your imagination. We're not using image to 3D so much, or I haven't. I don't think it's working yet to a level that would help us in the design process. Currently sharing the Discord screen. I hope that's
Right now we see the Discord screen. I think it's all fine. If you switch to anything else, yeah, maybe you can just switch to the presentation or something.
Sure, I can do that. Just thought some of the work that's being shared is very nice, especially some really nice ones. So just because I think I have let's take 3 more minutes. I am very interested in how you tried to do this. What control net did you use? I think we won't dive into this so quickly, but if I were to change this image into a summer scene, would you insert it into the control net and add the depth filter, and then just put summer in the prompt? And I think that should work if you're using the correct models. So that's also the issue. Yeah. I think you don't have a control net enabled currently. This is creepy. Okay, guys, I think I'll continue. Is that okay, Hamid? Don't really remember when we said it last. Okay, I think I'll continue. Is that okay, Hamid? Can you hear me? Am I muted?
Yeah, we can hear you. Let's go.
Okay. Perfect. Let's go. And I think we just hit all of these 6 key points, and I hope all of the people here, which have been a huge amount of people, now 320 still listening, which is amazing, have hopefully learned a set of skills which they can start to apply even tomorrow. And just stay 20 minutes after the meeting or at the end of your day tomorrow, knock out some of these stable diff images and see how they can support you in your design process. Would be interesting to show those around. I think it's an extremely exciting moment in the world of architecture where not many people have this skill set, and it's not that hard to use and will really enhance your design process. From the initial inspirations, the high-powered reference generator, to reintegrating architectural foam models into the design process, as well as enhancing your massing studies to the next level and materialization studies. It's all ways in which we can enhance your design process and allow you to efficiently use your time so you can spend time on the things that really matter. These things should be used in that way. And now you can, for example, take the extra time and go on a site visit, and don't just stand there for 2 minutes and take 3 pictures and keep going, but take a few hours, because you can do all of the production work way faster now. Take the time to dive into the analyzing the location, and take the time to do a real contextual analysis. Don't just rush over those things. I think what I want to push for, I want to preach a little bit about this AI integration. It's not a tool that'll just put more pressure on us as architects. It's a tool or raise the bar. I think it's a tool that'll give us more time and allow us to do things that we're actually trained for. And that's to be good designers. So that's my closing thoughts a little bit. Like, Midjourney and Stable Diffusion are extremely powerful tools, and they're super hyped up right now, and we should embrace them and love them. But don't forget that they are just tools. They're part of your, like, SketchUp and Rhino and CAD and Grasshopper and Enscape and whatever you're using in the office. They are just tools that part of your tool belt, but make it part of your tool belt. And in its current state, it is an extremely powerful tool and a remixer or an enhancer that'll blast your design process into the next level, and it will help you create extremely visuals that will support your designs. But don't forget that architecture is about the real, and it's about the buildable. It's about these sketches where ideas go to the next level. Architecture about humans, architecture about heritage and culture. It's about the past and the future. It's also about creating spaces that we all want to live in, and that we want to love, and that we eat and enjoy and we live our lives in. And these tools are extremely exciting and fun, and they're really, but don't forget that we're here to do architecture, and they're means to our destination. So I really want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me today. I feel like I've talked for hours, and I have, actually. I want to thank PA for inviting me and giving me the stage to talk to all these people and share this little bit of knowledge. And it is so much in development, and I'm really excited to see what all of you students and other architects and whoever else is in this call will do with it. And feel free to share it or send me a message on LinkedIn or something. I'd love to see where this is going, and it's an open discussion. We, as the world now, are trying to figure out what to do with AI, and it's not really clear yet. And so be a part of this discussion, and don't be just a listener, and also the talk, and would be really my last thing. So thanks a lot. Thank you guys so much. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Cas. This was really brilliant to see the workflows and also the way that you're putting things together. I think Stable Diffusion and Midjourney are great tools, and we're waiting for their revolutionizing the design process and the workflows that we're having. So it was a brilliant session to have you in here. We were super excited to see all these amazing works that you guys are doing, and this was the moment to uncover them all. It was not quiet enough, I think. We need to bring you back again in the future. So with maybe a more extensive or comprehensive workshop. So yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I think I
And
need a few
sorry.
days for my voice to relax, but
Yes, yes. I can imagine. I can imagine.
well,
Well,
thanks
it
so
was a
much.
unique session, and appreciate your time. So, guys, the video on the YouTube is available for everyone to watch. It's gonna be there forever. And also, we're gonna take this video, add it into your courses inside the course section on our websites, so you can get a certificate of attendance with that. So also don't forget to join the Discord. The Discord will be active and it's only for members and whoever wants to join and be a part of our community. And don't forget to join our membership program. It's on our website. And check out the future workshops that we're having with prominent names. And Cas is going to be one of them as well in the near future. And also, check the discount code that we have on the website. It's available for the limited version of the courses, selected courses, let's say. It's a 40% discount. And other than that, yeah, we look forward to having you guys back in our academy again. And I appreciate your time, Cas, for joining for this precious 4 hours. And I feel that you are also tired, but we're gonna have you back with a much comprehensive format of a workshop. And yeah, until then, hope to see you soon.
Cool. Thanks, Hamid. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much and see you soon. Goodbye. Bye,
See you
everyone.
soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks, everyone. This was a really great moment to learn about the workflows in MVRDV. Yeah, looking forward to see you guys again in our upcoming events. Make sure to check our digital membership program and also the future workshops and upcoming events that we're having. We have a couple of membership workshops. They are beginner and intermediate level. So hope you like it. And yeah, see you soon. Goodbye.